It's the most powerful show on television. High drama with intense energy. A show dedicated to a few brave souls who risk their lives for the sake of their craft. Its in-depth reporting goes to the core and unlocks the mysteries behind today's raciest sport. Motorsports. Catch it when you can.
The Speed Station welcomes you to the Atlanta Motor Speedway for live coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race, the season finale 500. In the race analysis, today's season finale 500 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia will take place over the course of 163 laps around this mile-and-a-half oval, with stage number 1 coming to its conclusion on lap number 40 and stage number 2 meeting its end on lap number 80. And as I mentioned quite a bit during the Camping World Truck Series Championship race, which as you recall, the race and the championship was won by Matt Crafton, this place has had a recent reconfiguration. From the spring 2019 race all the way to the fall 2020 race, SMI worked on reconfiguring this facility, put down all new asphalt, and reconfigured the banking to be progressive. This place used to be just a straight up and down 24-degree bank in the corners. Well, now it's 22 degrees on the bottom, 23 in the middle, and 24 up on the outside. And that type of progressive banking leads to very exciting racing, as you can make practically every single line here work. However, because the asphalt is very fresh, at the beginning of a run, you are definitely going to want to hook the inside line of the racetrack, but as the tires wear out, you start to migrate farther and farther towards that outside wall. And folks, this is the final race of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. 35 weeks of racing have all come down to this. The Cup Series Championship race here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, where we have 4 drivers contending for this championship, with it all to be determined at the conclusion of these 163 laps. This is also the final Generation 6 points race in the NASCAR Cup Series, as next season we will be switching over to the next-gen car, which has been developed over the last 3 to 4 years for NASCAR Cup Series competition. Now, this is not the final race overall of the Generation 6 car. That will be next weekend at the Texas World Speedway for the shootout for stage winners, but this is, in fact, the final points race that the Generation 6 car will ever contest. Gen 6 chassis will be all sold off, most likely to Xfinity Series, Camping World Truck, and Arca Menard Series race teams. So they're not going to waste, except for a few teams that will likely scrap quite a few of their chassis, but the majority of them are going down into lower divisions. And here's a reminder for the championship contending race teams. Don't beat yourself. Don't give up this championship because of a mistake you make on pit road, or because of getting up into a situation that could have easily been avoided by being a little bit more conservative on the racetrack. So don't give this championship up because of your own mistake. Force the competition to try and take it from you. And one final thing, keep the race car clean. We saw this in the Cup Series Championship race last season right here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. All 4 Championship 4 contenders got involved in some sort of trouble. In fact, Kyle Busch, who went on to win his second career Cup Series title last season at Atlanta, ended up getting in 3 different accidents, finished the race in 3rd position with damage all over the rear end of that number 18 machine, but it was just enough to take home that championship. So you'd rather keep the race car completely clean and spotless when you pull into victory lane for the championship at the conclusion of these 163 laps. However, it might just be damage mitigation for these Championship 4 contenders like it was last season, but we know this, it will be pivotal to stay out of trouble over the course of this season finale 500 if you want a shot at that Bill France Cup at the conclusion of today's event. And here's one final look at your Cup Series point standings before we go on to this season finale 500. Obviously, we are into the Championship 4 race, and so what that means, among the top 4 contenders, the points no longer matter. They have all been reset to 5,000 points. And so what that means is it is going to become a battle between these Championship 4 contenders to outplace the other, and whoever comes out on top will be your 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Now, we do begin to count points from 5th position all the way down to 16th, as that is the battle for best of the rest, meaning that those are the contenders that were eliminated from the playoffs but made it in the round of 16. So currently, Brandon Jones holds the 5th position in point standings by just 2 points above his teammate Denny Hamlin, who resides in 6th position. Kyle Busch, the defending series champion, who will not be contesting for his 3rd NASCAR Cup Series title here today, he currently sets 7th in points. Kyle Larson sets 8th in point standings in the number 57 car. He will not be able to match his recent highs in the point standings, finishing 2nd in points the last 2 years, but he could get all the way up to 5th in points, continuing his top 5 streak in NASCAR Cup Series point standings. Then we have Kevin Harvick, who was Mr. Consistency over the last 3 seasons, could not bring together a championship, and this season got eliminated from championship for contention in the final race of the round of 8 at Talladega Superspeedway last week, but he actually now has dropped all the way down to 9th in NASCAR Cup Series point standings with just 1 race remaining. Joey Logano, still without a win on the season, has not won a race since March of 2020. However, he did win this season's NASCAR Cup Series regular season championship and currently sets 10th in point standings with a good chance at improving his final season point standing. Alex Bowman, the Richmond race winner, sets 11th in point standings. Just behind him, we have the number 34 machine of Michael McDowell, who impressively made his way into the round of 12 this season with a victory in the final race of the regular season at the Daytona International Speedway for the Coke Zero Sugar 400. Then we have Justin Allgaier, the Watkins Glen race winner, setting 14th in points. Matt DiBenedetto, who won the Brickyard 400, sets 15th in points. And then Josh Bilicki, the Daytona 500 winner, sets 16th in points, rounding out your contenders who made the playoffs. Then the highest driver in point standings who did not make the playoffs whatsoever this season is the number 14 of Clint Bowyer. Even though he did not score a victory, which is what ultimately kicked him out of playoff contention, Bowyer has had a very solid season. With 8 top 5s and 14 top 10s, if we did not have a playoff format, he would actually be setting 7th in points right now, just barely outside of championship contention. Then we have the JTG Daugherty number 37 Chevrolet of Eric Jones setting 18th in point standings with a victory this season at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. A really great season for JTG Daugherty and for Eric Jones, finally getting his career put into the right direction. Surprisingly, in that number 37 team, a lot of folks would have expected this big breakthrough would have come at Joe Gibbs Racing in his years in the number 20 Toyota Camry, but he's just now finally found some speed in that number 37 for JTG Daugherty. Then setting 19th in points, we have Tyler Reddick in the number 8 car for Richard Childress Racing. He has not scored a victory so far on the season and might be headed towards his first career Cup Series season winless. Then finally, rounding out your top 20 in the number 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing, we have Ryan Newman, who has surprisingly started to put together some relatively consistent top 10 runs in the last few weeks, clawing his way up in to the top 20 in NASCAR Cup Series point standings. And so before we get into today's season finale 500 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway, let's shine a spotlight on some of today's contenders. Let's begin with the Championship 4 drivers who are all gunning after that title in today's NASCAR Cup Series Championship race. First off, we have the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Suarez has 6 career NASCAR Cup Series victories to his credit. He is the 2016 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion. Suarez is making his first career Championship 4 appearance in the NASCAR Cup Series here this weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. His statistics of this season include 4 victories on the tour, tied most overall, 8 top 5 finishes, 12 top 10s, 3 poles, and 378 laps led. Then we have Suarez's teammate, Chase Briscoe. Only in his second season of full-time NASCAR Cup Series competition, but the kid already has 5 victories in the NASCAR Cup Series, as well as the 2016 ARCA Menard Series Championship on his resume. His statistics of this year's NASCAR Cup Series season include 4 victories, once again tied with his teammate Suarez for most overall. Then Briscoe has 5 top 5 finishes, 9 top 10s, 1 pole, and 164 laps led. And then we have the crafty veteran of this championship 4, the only former champion who is contesting the NASCAR Cup Series title here this afternoon, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr., the 2017 NASCAR Cup Series champion. His NASCAR Cup Series career has spanned more than 15 years, and he has 28 career victories on his resume, with 2 of those coming this season at the Dover International Speedway and the Martinsville Speedway, as well as 8 top 5 finishes, 14 top 10s, surprisingly no poles on the year, and 370 laps led. Both him and Daniel Suarez are currently in a close battle for most laps led on the year, with Suarez just barely leading the series by 8 laps led above Martin Truex Jr. And then finally, contesting for this championship, we have the number 9 of Chase Elliott, the fan favorite of the group, competing for this NASCAR Cup Series title at his home track in the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Chase Elliott, on his career, has 7 NASCAR Cup Series victories, 2 of those coming this season at the Nashville Fairgrounds and at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway road course. This season, his statistics also include 6 top 5 finishes, 16 top 10s, which is actually the most of any single driver on the tour, 2 poles, and 120 laps led. And so, folks, we're also going to shine our spotlight on 2 drivers who will be calling their NASCAR Cup Series careers complete after the conclusion of today's 163 laps here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The first one being front row Joe Nemechek in the number 87 for his very own Nemco Motorsports. Joe Nemechek has 4 career NASCAR Cup Series victories, as well as the 1992 NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship on his resume. Nemechek made today's season finale 500 driving his very own equipment at Nemco Motorsports, with the number 87 Camping World Truck Series team both working on and pitting his effort in today's NASCAR Cup Series event. Joe Nemechek is looking forward to capping off his NASCAR Cup Series career with a strong run here today in the season finale 500. Next season, he will be switching over to mainly an ownership role as he focuses on 2 trucks gunning after the Camping World Truck Series Championship, with the number 8 truck being driven by his son, John Hunter, and the number 87 being driven by Timothy Peters. Now, Joe Nemechek has left open the possibility of potentially coming back for at least Speed Weeks next season, as he'd like to continue his Speed Weeks streak to 33 attempts at Speed Weeks. However, today's event at the Atlanta Motor Speedway pretty much calls Joe Nemechek's career when it comes to running outside of the Daytona International Speedway every February. And the final driver in the spotlight for today's season finale 500 is the number 14 of Clint Bowyer, the 14-time winner in the NASCAR Cup Series and 2019 Series champion, calls his full-time career at the conclusion of today's season finale 500. As I mentioned, he won the 2019 NASCAR Cup Series title, driving that number 14 for Stewart-Haas Racing. He also won the 2008 NASCAR Xfinity Series Championship, driving for Richard Childress Racing. His statistics on this season include no victories, unfortunately. He came very, very close numerous times this season, kind of reminiscent of Rusty Wallace's retirement season where he didn't close out a victory. Obviously, Bowyer could get one here today at Atlanta. He won here 2 years ago, but still so far has not gotten a victory. But the rest of his statistics include 8 top 5s on the season, 14 top 10s, no poles, and 239 laps led. As I mentioned previously, if we did not have a playoff format, he would be 7th in points currently, just barely outside of championship contention. Bowyer is leaving open the opportunity of running a couple races next season. A few races that he's circled include the Daytona 500, which he missed this year, and another race which he missed this season, being the Food City Dirt Race. He would like to attempt that race next season. However, today's event at the Atlanta Motor Speedway marks the end of Clint Bowyer's storied full-time NASCAR career. The final 6-car NASCAR Next Gen test of the 2021 season took place here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and the drivers that were invited to the test consist of competitors who were eliminated from championship contention but made the playoffs, but also participating for teams who are not contending for the championship. So those include Kyle Larson, Justin Allgaier, Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, Michael McDowell, and Kaz Gralla, all participating in the test here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it's a very good showing of the progressive banking as well here at Atlanta, as you can see different lines being utilized by every single driver here. But all 6 drivers were impressed with what they experienced from this next-gen car here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The lack of an aerodynamic wake that this thing puts out because of its lack of side force makes it a lot easier to close those gaps and make moves on your competitors. But you see right here, 57 car of Kyle Larson kind of checking out just a little bit, but we have a large battle for position farther back, such as Harvick going through the middle of the number 42 and 34 cars coming off of the second corner. So this car, with its reduction of side force, is very, very raceable. And I think with the increase of horsepower for next season and slight decrease in downforce, we're going to be seeing some very exciting racing for the 2022 season. This next-gen car both pushes NASCAR forward when it comes to technological advancements, but also brings back a lot of older characteristics of the style of racing that fans have been craving for years. So I think there's a lot to look forward to for this 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season, coming off of what has already been one of the most competitive Cup Series seasons here in 2021. Next season is looking very, very bright. Welcome back to the NASCAR Cup Series ride-along segment. Been a little while since we've done one of these. We are finally back in the Cup Series test car here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, prepping for the season finale 500. 4 drivers chasing after that championship here today. Here we come at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, coming off of the apron, down the back straightaway. Gets a little bit loose down here. It's very dirty on the apron. Coming down the back straightaway, merging up with the racetrack. And as I mentioned quite a bit during the Camping World Truck Series broadcast and already during the pre-race here today, is that this place was reconfigured in between the spring race of 2019 and the fall race of 2020. And so what that means is fresh asphalt, progressive banking from 22 degrees on the bottom, 23 in the middle, and 24 up on the top. So that means on fresh tires like I'm on right now, I can really hook this painted line down on the inside. However, as the run continues, I'm going to end up, let's say 15, 20 laps from now, having to use this very top side of the racetrack up by the outside wall, because as the tires degrade, you have obviously less and less traction. You have to move your car up the racetrack where that banking helps you corner. And what that means is we're going to be seeing a lot of different styles of racing because of the progressive banking here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. From the painted red and white inside line all the way up to the outside wall, we'll be seeing cars running to try and make up track position. It also is a big factor in how you set up your car. Do you want to try and roll the bottom of the racetrack, as I assume Kevin Harvick will probably try and specialize in? Or do you want to be a guy like, say, Larson or Reddick, where you really want to run that top side? But the Atlanta Motor Speedway's got a lot more character, honestly, ever since the repave, which is not exactly expected, but they kind of reconfigured this place like the Homestead Miami Speedway is now, with a progressive banking. But because of the fresh asphalt here, you are full throttle for the first 10 or so laps, and that's when you are hooking this inside line of the racetrack. But we are gearing up for a phenomenal closing race of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. If the Camping World Truck Series race showed us anything about the way this place performs with a photo finish, as well as a photo finish for the Xfinity Series Championship, which Daniel Hemrick claimed over Sam Hornish Jr. At the conclusion of these 163 laps here today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, we're going to have possibly a brand new champion unless Martin Truex Jr. can pull off his second. And it will almost certainly be one of the greatest championship battles in NASCAR Cup Series history here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Honestly reminiscent of the 1992 Hooters 500. Coming here this weekend with 4 drivers all at a chance at the championship, coming in tied. It just becomes who of the top 4 can finish ahead of the other. And a best of the top 4 will take home the Bill France Cup at the drop of the checkered flag here today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And in your starting lineup for the final race of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season, Ryan Blaney, who's had a very tough season after having a stellar 2020. 2021 has definitely thrown that number 12 team quite a few curveballs, but they come out to the final race of the year, the final points race of the Generation 6 car, and they put the 12 car back on the pole spot. And Blaney scores the pole by about 4 1/100ths above Cole Custer, the number 41 for Stewart-Haas Racing. This being the final points race for Stewart-Haas Racing, as both Gene Haas and Tony Stewart are splitting off to be independent car owners with no business association with each other. In fact, they'll be with competing manufacturers of Chevrolet and Ford, respectively, for Stewart and Haas. However, Cole Custer, after having a very, very tough season, setting outside the top 30 in point standings at the moment, qualifies in second position. A very good showing in this last race of the 2021 season, but then his teammate, Clint Boyer, the 2019 Series champion, Won here at Atlanta back in 2019, but that was on the old configuration of this racetrack when it was a straight 24-degree bank and with the extremely worn asphalt. But Clint Bowyer has a good enough track record here, and he ran relatively decently here last season, the first race after the reconfiguration, to where Bowyer definitely could walk out of his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career in victory lane, especially going off of his third-place run in qualifying. Alex Bowman, the winner at Richmond International Raceway earlier this season, qualifies the number 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports in the 4th position. Behind him, we have his teammate William Byron making his final start for Hendrick Motorsports. As he moves on to Haas Racing next season, he qualifies in the 5th spot. Kevin Harvick in the number 4 for Stewart-Haas Racing. His final start as well for Stewart-Haas. Harvick, who's been Mr. Consistency over the last 3 seasons, kind of lost some of that consistency this year with only 1 win on the season so far, all the way back at Louisville, and a lot less top 5s compared to what he had last season. In fact, I believe about 8 less top 5 finishes. That's what ended up having Harvick be eliminated in the most recent race last week at Talladega Superspeedway. He made it all the way to the round of 8, but had a bit of a final round collapse where he got in trouble in all 3 of the races of the round of 8 in the playoffs, and so Kevin Harvick will not be contending for a championship here today at Atlanta. First time in quite a while that he has missed the championship for, but Harvick very well could walk out of the Atlanta Motor Speedway, a track where he has found quite a bit of success at in the past. In fact, his first career victory came here 21 years ago. Harvick could very well take home the victory here this afternoon. Then we have the highest qualified Championship 4 contender of Chase Briscoe in the RCA Chevrolet, starting from the 7th position. Ryan Newman in the number 6 car for Roush Fenway Racing qualifies in the 8th spot. Kyle Busch, the defending Cup Series champion, not in contention for the championship this time around. However, he could still conclude his rather troublesome 2021 season with a 4th victory on the tour. Myatt Snyder, the 2020 Southern 500 winner in the 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports, rounds out your top 10. Other notable starters include Ross Chastain in the 55 car, qualifying in 11th position. This will be his final points-paying start with Nutrien Ag Solutions as a sponsor, as that company is moving on from NASCAR at the conclusion of the year. Then we have his teammate, the second highest qualified championship contender, Daniel Suarez, the 2016 NASCAR Xfinity Series champion, qualifies in the 12th spot in the CommScope Chevrolet. Denny Hamlin, who recently stated that the only way that Chase Briscoe is going to pass him in this race is if he wrecks him once again, because as you recall, the battle between Briscoe and Hamlin currently sets 2 Briscoe, 0 Hamlin. So Hamlin's definitely got a chip on his shoulder against Briscoe in this championship race, but Hamlin is not contending for that championship, so he's got nothing to lose, but he will be rolling off from the 13th position. And if he doesn't get distracted by Briscoe, he might just close his season with a victory. Kaz Gralla, the winner at Kansas earlier this year, his first career victory and the only winner for Richard Childress Racing this season, rolls off from the 14th position. The number 69 of Greg Biffle. Biffle once again making one of his sporadic NASCAR Cup Series starts, this time back in the 69 for Gaunt Brothers Racing. We'll roll off from the 16th position. Then we have Kyle Larson, always a favorite at these progressively banked racetracks. He will start from the 17th position. The number 22 of Joey Logano, he won the regular season championship without winning a single race. Qualifies in 18th position for today's season finale 500. The pole sitter back at Talladega Superspeedway much earlier in this season, the number 23 of Bubba Wallace, who actually struggled at qualifying at non-superspeedway racetracks, rolls off from 20th position. That team more or less gunning towards the debut of the next-gen car, kind of taking this season as a bit of a scrap year just to kind of get their feet wet in NASCAR Cup Series competition. Eric Almirola will roll off from the 21st position. Almirola will be dropping down to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series next season. He will be joining the absolute powerhouse that is Thor Sport Racing, replacing Johnny Sauter in the number 13 truck. Almirola rolls off in 21st position in his final start for Stewart-Haas Racing. The third highest Championship 4 contender, we have Martin Truex Jr. in the Craftsman Toyota Camry, rolling off from the 22nd spot. Brad Keselowski, the winner here last season, although he was driving the number 2 car for Team Penske back then, now driving the 88 for Hendrick Motorsports, got the victory in the Southern 500 in a phenomenal battle with Kyle Larson in those final 10 laps. Has his sights set on defending his victory here at Atlanta this afternoon and potentially taking home his second win of the season. Then we have Kurt Busch in the number 1 car for Chip Ganassi Racing, making his final points-paying start for CGR, rolling off from the 25th position. Behind him, we have the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto. His future is somewhat uncertain at the moment after contract negotiations with Roger Penske kind of fell apart in the last 10 weeks of the year. The Brickyard 400 and All-Star Race winner rolls off from the 26th position. Then we have Tyler Ankrum, who will be moving on to Hendrick Motorsports next season, driving their famous number 24 car. He'll roll off in the GMS Racing number 26 in 27th position. And speaking of GMS Racing, after Sheldon Creed got eliminated from NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship contention, and Creed is obviously going to be moving up to the Cup Series next season replacing Ankrum, GMS Racing actually brought back their second Cup Series car for this weekend. It's all the number 2 team from the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series working on the number 25 car, but Sheldon Creed will be driving it, the second car out of GMS Racing this weekend, and he actually made the field starting from the 29th position, out qualifying the 4th highest Championship 4 contender in the qualifying session. That is Chase Elliott, starting all the way down in 30th position in his home racetrack here in Hampton, Georgia, contending for his first NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Then we have front row Joe Nemechek. After a stellar run in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race here at Atlanta with 11 laps led on Friday, he made the race for the NASCAR Cup Series Season Finale 500 and will roll off in 31st position in his very own number 87 for Nemco Motorsports. Part-timer Corey LaJoie actually made the field, the number 7 for Spire Motorsports. He will roll off in 32nd position. The North Wilkesboro race winner, number 37 of Eric Jones, starts down in 33rd spot. That team kind of struggles a little bit on the intermediate racetracks where it takes an awful lot more funding to find performance. Most likely, though, that disparity will be closed up next season with the next-gen car coming in, should tighten up the competition just a little bit more. Harrison Burton, the number 95 for Levine Family Racing, the winner at Pocono earlier this season, came close also to winning at Louisville. He'll roll off down in 34th position. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in his final start for JTG Daugherty Racing will roll off from the 35th spot. Looks like next season he will be putting the majority of his focus into a dirt racing schedule. However, he does seem poised to sign with Trackhouse Racing to run at least a few NASCAR Cup Series starts next season, including the Daytona 500. Now, that has not been confirmed as of yet, but the talks are ongoing. Austin Cindric in the number 21 for the Wood Brothers. He will be moving up to Penske Racing next season to drive the number 2 car. He qualifies down in the 36th position. Brandon Jones on the number 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing will roll off from the 37th position. Jan Magnuson in his final points-paying start for Starcom Speed Station in the number 33 Chevrolet will roll off down in 38th position. And finally, rounding out the field in the 39th spot, we have Austin Dillon in the number 3 Andy's Frozen Custard Chevrolet. This is the final time that Austin Dillon will pilot the number 3 for Richard Childress Racing in a points-paying NASCAR Cup Series event. And this being the final race of the season, we had quite a few teams fail to make the race, as this is also the final points race of the Generation 6 car. Quite a few teams threw their hat in the ring to try and make the field. Names that failed to make the race include Michael McDowell in the number 34 car. He had a very good points run going, actually came into this race 12th in the point standings. That might drop him down just a little bit, missing this afternoon's event. Also, his teammate Anthony Alfredo missed the field as well. He'll be dropping down to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series next season. Cody Ware in the number 51 for Rick Ware Racing missed out on the field, as well as the Road America race winner, Christopher Bell. In the Hattori Racing Enterprises number 61, he did not make the field in qualifying. That's another team, much like 2311, that is putting a lot of eggs in the next-gen car basket. The number 66 car of Timmy Hill did not make the field for today's event. Neither did the number 71 of Josh Blicky, the Daytona 500 winner. Missed out on today's race in qualifying. The number 77 of Justin Haley did not make the field for Spire Motorsports, although strangely enough, his teammate, the part-time contender, Corey LaJoie, did make the starting grid in 32nd position. Continuing with the drivers that failed to make today's race, we also have the number 78 of BJ McLeod, the number 89 of Landon Castle, the number 96 of Drew Herring did not make the field, while his teammate, actually the 69 of Greg Biffle, did make the field. And finally, your last driver who did not make the starting grid of today's NASCAR Cup Series Championship race is the number 99 of Ryan Preece. He misses out on the field with a slow time in qualifying. And so now let's get the engines fired one last time in the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. Let's head down trackside for the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines! I'm up in the center of 1 and 2 up here, so as you're going down the back stretch into 3, it may appear to me that they're inside, but they may be just shy of that. I'll really try to stay on top of that all night, buddy.
The pace car ducks onto pit road. Ryan Blaney, your pole sitter, leads the field onto the front straightaway with the flagman having the green flag in hand. And there is the green flag for the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The final race of the 2021 season. Down into turn number 1, the inside line gets the advantage above the outside as the 41 of Cole Custer gets a bad start. Drops back already. Here comes Clint Boyer down to the bottom. Boyer trying to lead lap number 1 here at the season finale 500. Down the back straightaway, the 14 car goes to the inside of the 12. 24 cars starting to get up into this mix. Kyle Busch goes 3 wide on the championship contender of Chase Briscoe. And off of the 4th corner, going to be a drag race down to the start-finish line. Clint Boyer will lead lap number 1 in his final start of his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career, just like Johnny Sauter did on Friday in the Camping World Truck Series race. A driver making his final start of his full-time career leads the opening lap here at Atlanta. Down the back straightaway, though, the pole sitter of Ryan Blaney starts to inch his way ahead of the number 14 machine. The lines draw even through turns 3 and 4. 53 of Chase Briscoe, your current championship point leader, pushing the 12 car up on the outside. At the line, it was Blaney to lead that lap. Down into turn number 1, you can see the number 69 of Greg Biffle nearly going 4 wide on the inside. As the inside and outside lines still battle for this race lead. You got the 14 of Boyer on the bottom, 12 of Blaney up on the outside. As look at these two familiar rivals of the 2021 season, Hamlin and Briscoe racing each other. Look like they almost made contact down at turn number 3 as the 12 car drops back through this field. The defending champion of Kyle Busch has taken over this race lead here at Atlanta. Cole Custer battling on the inside of his teammate Clinton Boyer as here comes Larson going 3 wide to the bottom. 53 of Briscoe slides up, loses a little bit of track position right there. 48 of Bowman down on the bottom, trying to go 4 wide down the back straightaway. 55 of Ross Chastain now down to the inside of the 41 of Cole Custer, who's trying to go 3 wide for the race lead on Kyle Busch. Custer backs off, and the 55 of Ross Chastain takes over that race lead with a daring move off of the 4th corner. Greg Biffle backs out on the front straightaway. He just about went 4 wide as we got a battle for the championship lead. Down on the inside, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. takes over the top spot in the points. Off the 53 of Chase Briscoe. The 00 of Daniel Suarez, you can see him farther back, resides 3rd in points, and the number 9 of Chase Elliott has not gone forward whatsoever after starting this race all the way down in 30th position. Out in front, we have the 24 of William Byron in his final start for Hendrick Motorsports, trying to take over the 2nd spot off the 18 of Kyle Busch. These two battle down to the 1st corner. 18 of Busch trying to hold that high side. 24 down on the inside, trying to take the shorter way around. 40 of Quinn Half now to the bottom, trying to go 3 wide. For 2nd, he backs off just a little bit, loses that momentum down the back straightaway. 18 of Kyle Busch will clear for 2nd, down into turn number 3. Still a 3 wide battle as the championship point leader was put into the middle. Looks like he will clear the number 40 of Quinn Half off of the 4th corner. Here comes Kyle Busch, back down to the bottom of the 55 of Ross Chastain. Into the 1st corner, the 18 of Kyle Busch takes over the race lead here at Atlanta. And down the back straightaway, we have his Joe Gibbs Racing teammate trying to take over the 2nd position. Martin Truex Jr., your championship point leader at the moment. As you see the field fly by, our camera out in turn number 3. The number 6 of Ryan Newman has dropped down to the last position. We are getting a report that he has hit up into the outside wall just a few laps ago. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. down on the inside, going for the race lead off of his teammate Kyle Busch. Truex chasing after his 2nd career NASCAR Cup Series title, passing the defending series champion of Kyle Busch, who finished 3rd here last season. Martin Truex Jr. now takes over the race lead, accompanying his point lead at the moment as the 53 of Chase Briscoe gets put 3 wide by guess who? Denny Hamlin. Down on the inside, as Hamlin got around both Ryan Blaney and Chase Briscoe with that move. We got a battle for the race lead once again. Ross Chastain down to the bottom of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Chastain going to take the lead for the moment, but here comes the Richmond race winner, the 48 of Alex Bowman down on the inside. Down the back straightaway, the 48. Looks like he's going to take over the top spot. Boyer thought about going 3 wide into turn 3, thought better of it. Clinton Boyer trying to take home the victory in his final start of his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career. Won here 2 years ago in the spring race of 2019. But the 2020 Southern 500 winner, Myatt Snyder, in the 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports, is going to take over second on the exit of turn number 2 as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. started to drop back just a little bit. The 00 of Daniel Suarez has started to lose quite a bit of track position farther back. As the battle for second resumes, the 18 of Kyle Busch down on the inside. He's going to take over the second spot once again. Hamlin into third, Truex into fourth. That is 3 Joe Gibbs Racing cars running in the top 5. Down on the inside, we got a look being made by the 24 of William Byron. Thought about going 3 wide, got it back down to 2 wide, and gets the position off the 43 of Myatt Snyder as the number 11 of Hamlin got moved up the racetrack right there. Kyle Busch going for the race lead once again on the 48 of Alex Bowman. Into turn number 3, the number 18 car of Kyle Busch is back out in front. The 55 of Ross Chastain, still searching for his first career NASCAR Cup Series victory, takes over the second spot in his final points race with sponsorship from Nutrien Ag Solutions, as we've discussed already during this weekend's event. That sponsor leaving NASCAR at the end of the season. Team currently in a sponsorship search for the 2022 campaign. Down the back straightaway, you can still see the number 9 of Chase Elliott running right towards the tail end of this field. In fact, at the moment, he sets 37th out of 39 starters. A tough race so far for the number 9 team. Fortunately for those people on the number 9 team at Hendrick Motorsports, lap number 40 marks a stage caution. So they can obviously work on that car a little bit, try to adjust on it to get that thing farther up towards the front, because right now they are very far off the pace. 55 of Ross Chastain back down to the inside, going for the race lead here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Down the back straightaway, we also have the 24 of William Byron up on the outside, trying to win out in his career at Hendrick Motorsports, moving on to Haas Racing next season, but the 55 of Chastain takes over that spot. We got a 3-wide battle down the front straightaway. Snyder on the bottom, Gralla in the middle, and Byron up on the outside. Looks like Snyder's going to back off into turn number 1. Gralla is going to take over the third spot. He's the Kansas race winner, and that number 50 for Richard Childress Racing. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. started to drop back just a little bit, coming into the clutches of 2 Stewart Haas Racing cars, and also Greg Biffle up on the outside. There goes Hamlin back down to the inside of Chase Briscoe, fitting that those two would be running together. Once again, those two have been inseparable for these last few weekends. And farther back, we have the 00 of Daniel Suarez trying to chase down the number 53 of Chase Briscoe for the point lead, as Ross Chastain leads this field here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, above the number 50 of Kaz Gralla, who has taken over second, but now loses that spot once again to the 18 of Kyle Busch. Gralla now getting swarmed by the 48 of Bowman down on the inside. 19 of Martin Truex Jr. trying to make his way back up into this top 5. Down on the bottom, we have the 43 of Myatt Snyder trying to get his way around the 48 of Bowman, as we got a battle for the race lead once again coming off of turn number 2. The 18 of Kyle Busch to the inside of the 55 of Ross Chastain, the 2020 and 2015 series champion, takes over the top spot from turns 3 and 4. You can see farther back the 87 of Joe Nemechek, and what is possibly his final NASCAR Cup Series start, runs in the number 87 machine right now in 31st position. Down on the inside, we got the 48 of Alex Bowman taking a look on the 18 of Kyle Busch. Martin Truex Jr. has driven his way up into 3rd position. He's got a pretty good separation above the second place runner in points at the moment, that being the 53 of Chase Briscoe, as Briscoe runs down in 15th. Truex is going to take over second through turns 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. performed exceptionally well at the Homestead Miami Speedway just 2 short weeks ago, and that track is rather similar to Atlanta now ever since they reconfigured this place with progressive banking. So it shouldn't come as that much of a surprise for Truex to be running this strong, at least early, here in Atlanta. But remember, it was strange pit strategy that kind of caught them out at Homestead, had to drive their way back through the field, and ended up losing in the final few restarts to the number 1 team of Kurt Busch. But here comes Truex down to the bottom, and he's trying to take over that top spot off his teammate Kyle Busch, although Kyle holds a good line off of turn number 4 and actually clears him using high side momentum. You can see the tires are starting to wear out enough to where the outside line is now getting favorable, because you can move your car up that racetrack and use the banking to help you corner as those tires degrade. And that's exactly what Kyle Busch did right there off of the 4th corner. How about this, the number 69 of Greg Biffle? He is getting near the top 10 right now, in fact running in 11th position. The number 69 for Gaunt Brothers Racing. The number 96 team of Drew Herring did not even make this field, but Greg Biffle climbing his way almost into the top 10 at the moment. Cole Custer tried to go 3 wide on the front straightaway and backed out of it. The 69 car has actually driven his way up into 9th position right now, taking the championship contender of Chase Briscoe with him, as Briscoe assumes the 10th spot at the moment, at least battling with the 20 of Brandon Jones down the back straightaway. Martin Truex Jr. starting to drop back, getting put down to 4th position. The 18 of Kyle Busch is out front. The 48 of Bowman running second, and Ross Chastain now sets in the 3rd spot as that 69 car is really starting to come alive as these tires degrade here in Atlanta. But as I mentioned that, the 69 car slides up the racetrack just a little bit and allows the number 14 of Clint Boyer down on his inside. Boyer is going to pass the 69 car of Biffle, and it looks like he's going to take the 53 of Chase Briscoe with him. Briscoe charging his way back through this field as the 20 of Brandon Jones, I believe, got up into the outside wall. He's starting to drop back very quickly. Doesn't look like there's very much damage to the right side of that car, but still slowed up very abruptly. Might have just got up into the marbles. The 48 of Alex Bowman to the inside of the 18 of Kyle Busch for the top spot here at Atlanta. Battling side by side now through turns 3 and 4. The 18 car once again going to try to use highline momentum, and he actually backs out. Entering turn number 3, the 48 of Alex Bowman is back out in front. Recall that he won at Homestead last season, so he's got some good experience on these progressively banked racetracks. And the 48 car taking over the top spot has brought the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. up to 2nd. Now the 14 of Boyer slides up the hill and lets the 53 of Briscoe by him. As Briscoe has started to really come alive in these last 5 or so laps, climbing his way through this top 10. That's definitely applying pressure to the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. as there was contact coming into the corner between the 12 of Ryan Blaney and the 53 of Chase Briscoe. A very dicey moment right there. It cost Briscoe a lot of momentum off of the 4th corner and almost could have ended his championship hopes. That could have been a very large accident through turns 3 and 4 right there. Fortunately, they all kept it together. But it did cost Briscoe a lot of momentum as right now here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch down to the inside of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. These two battling for the 2nd position. Kyle Busch is going to take it over. The 50 of Kaz Grella looks like he's going to take over the 3rd spot as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. still drops back. The 53 of Chase Briscoe obviously got slowed up from that contact with the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Doesn't look like the right front fender has caved in any on that 53 machine. Fortunately for them, though, the stage caution will be coming on lap number 40, so they don't have to ride for too much longer without being able to get that fender pulled out if it is, in fact, caved in any. As the 14 of Boyer goes to the inside of the 55 of Chastain, takes over that spot, and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. slid up almost into the marbles. 48 of Alex Bowman, though, still leading this field here at Atlanta, above the 18 of Kyle Busch. Busch now makes a look down to the inside, going to try and side draft that 48 car back down the back straightaway. They run dead side by side down the back straight, entering turn number 3. They still run pretty much even as the 18 of Kyle Busch clears him on the exit of turn number 4. Kyle Busch, your 2020 Series champion, back out in front of this field. As the field has started to separate out just a little bit as these tires have gotten much more worn as they were from the beginning of this run, and so that means the field has started to string out quite a bit. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race had stage lengths of only 30 laps. And so in this NASCAR Cup Series race, we're seeing the tires getting pushed a little bit longer, and so the field's spreading out just a little bit more as we got a battle for the championship once again through turns 3 and 4. The 53 of Chase Briscoe back down to the bottom of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. At the line, it was Truex holding the championship lead as Kyle Busch is back in front of this field above the 50 of Kaz Grella, and your pole sitter, Ryan Blaney, takes over the 3rd spot. The 53 of Chase Briscoe has once again assumed the championship lead here at Atlanta. The 00 of Daniel Suarez and the 9 of Chase Elliott are still not up into this mix. You'd expect some major adjustments to be made on that stage number 1 caution. Although they could be playing the similar strategy to what Grant Enfinger pulled in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series race, hang out in the back until the race starts to get a little bit closer to crunch time. Say after the stage number 2 ending caution is when you really start to step on it. Right now, the number 12 machine of Ryan Blaney takes a look down to the inside of the 50 of Kaz Grella, thought better of it and stuck back in line as the number 69 of Greg Biffle has taken over the 5th position, being battled by the point leader right now of Chase Briscoe, as the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. getting swarmed by cars on his inside. The 12 of Ryan Blaney takes over the 2nd position off of the 2nd corner, as that 18 machine of Kyle Busch is very stout out in front of this field. Put a couple car length separation currently above the 12 of Blaney, the 55 of Chastain down to the bottom. He is going to take over the 3rd position as Alex Bowman gets right up to the quarter panel, the championship point leader of Chase Briscoe. Down the inside, these two are going to battle into turn number 1. as the number 2 machine of Matt DiBenedetto slid up the hill on entry to the corner. Alex Bowman is going to take away the spot off the 53 of Chase Briscoe, as there's just 10 laps to go in stage number 1 here in the season finale 500. The 12 of Ryan Blaney is starting to reel in the number 18 of Kyle Busch, as the 50 drove the 55 of Ross Chastain up the hill through turns 3 and 4. Almost contact right there between those two. Off of the 4th corner, Kaz Grala takes over that 3rd spot down to the 1st turn, as the 48 of Alex Bowman backs up his corner entry, trying to get a run up to the outside of the 50. Here comes the 12 of Ryan Blaney down to the bottom, trying to battle with Kyle Busch out in front of this field for the race lead and for the stage number 1 victory. And through turns 3 and 4, these two run nearly dead side by side. It's going to be a drag race down to the start-finish line. And it is your pole sitter, Ryan Blaney, leading lap number 32. Down to turn number 1, though, they still run side by side. That's the progressive banking kind of showing itself here at Atlanta. But through turns 1 and 2, Kyle Busch backs off as the 12 car slides up the hill, and Ryan Blaney is back out in front as there was contact farther back between the 24 and 14 of Byron and Clint Boyer. The 53 of Chase Briscoe still holds on to this championship point lead, as the 48 of Alex Bowman has taken over the 2nd position on track. 69 of Greg Biffle slides up the hill, allowing the 2nd place contender in points of Martin Truex Jr. to take the 7th spot away. Down on the inside, the 53 of Chase Briscoe has taken over this 2nd spot on track. The 12 of Ryan Blaney, though, still runs out in front of this field. Briscoe's got his teammate of Ross Chastain now up into 3rd position. Can these two work together like the Germain trucks pulled off in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship race on Friday afternoon? Let's see if they can try and pull it off, but the 55 now looks down to the inside, going for that 2nd spot. Down on the bottom, Ross Chastain takes over the 2nd position as the 53 car runs wide back into the clutches of the 48 of Alex Bowman. Down the back straightaway, we have the 55 of Ross Chastain looking down to the inside for the race lead. And Chastain's going to take over the spot as we have a battle once again for the championship lead. It's Martin Truex Jr. to the inside of Chase Briscoe. Takes a look down to the bottom, backs off as the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto cuts him off through the quad oval. 53 car still holds that championship lead, backs up his corner entry through turn 1. And now has Martin Truex Jr. going through the middle as Ross Chastain leads this field for the moment. Here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the number 9 of Chase Elliott has passed a couple of cars at the tail end of this field, sets in 34th as Martin Truex Jr. surpasses the number 53 of Chase Briscoe for the point lead, and the 69 of Greg Biffle makes contact with the outside wall off of the 4th corner. Biffle's going to lose a lot of track position with that mistake. As down on the inside, we have the 18 of Kyle Busch taking over the 3rd spot, the number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto into 4th, and the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. taking over 5th. Down to turn number 3, the number 18 of Kyle Busch is going to take over the 2nd position, battling alongside the 12 of Ryan Blaney. The 2 Gibbs cars might be able to work together on the bottom as there's just 3 laps to go in stage number 1. Truex working with the number 18 of Kyle Busch. Busch is going to take over the 2nd spot. Martin Truex Jr. assumes 3rd position, now going to the inside of his teammate for 2nd, as Truex is currently setting with that championship point lead. The 53 of Briscoe dropping back, and the 009 car is still relegated outside the top 20. 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is going to take over the 2nd position off of the 4th corner. On the front straightaway, just 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Truex has taken over 2nd and eyeing the stage number 1 victory in the season finale 500. That would be quite a lot of pressure to put on the rest of these championship 4 contenders if he can pull off this stage victory, as that number 19 machine is definitely the favorite for the moment. The number 24 Byron tried to make a nearly 4-wide move down the back straightaway, almost got onto the apron but backed out of it. Now the 40 of Quinn Half goes to the inside, the 18 of Kyle Busch going for the 3rd position as the white flag will wave in stage number 1 here at Atlanta. Let's see if Martin Truex Jr. can try and back up his corner entries to get a run on the 55 of Ross Chastain. Moves up the hill just a little bit, trying to get some of that highline momentum. Down the back straightaway, he's going to be tucked right into the draft in the number 55 of Ross Chastain into the final 2 corners for stage number 1. 55 car slides up the racetrack just a little bit, allows the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to the bottom. Martin Truex Jr. and Ross Chastain drag race to the line, but it's Truex to win stage number 1. Martin Truex Jr. takes home the stage number 1 victory here in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race with a great battle coming back to the line. Above the number 55 of Ross Chastain, who got a little bit too far up the racetrack, got up into the marbles just a little bit, lost a lot of time off the fourth corner. The 18 of Kyle Busch, the defending series champion, brought it home in third position. The 40 car of Quinn Half held on to fourth, and the number 24 of William Byron brought it home in fifth position after an already intense 40 laps here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway have been completed. But remember, we have an awful lot of racing left to go. And now under the caution flag period following stage number 1, Martin Truex Jr. leads the entire field down pit road. You know, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit impressed that we got through that whole first stage caution-free, because they were racing very aggressive, especially Briscoe and Blaney, as the race off pit road will be won by a nose by the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr., the stage number 1 victor, above the number 55 of Ross Chastain in second, 40 of Quinn Half in the third spot, 22 of Joey Logano with a good pickup off pit road, taking over the fourth position, and the number 8 of Tyler Reddick searching after his first victory of the season, getting off in the fifth spot, the number 8 for Richard Childress Racing. And on this caution flag period, the number 33 car of Jan Magnussen has suffered an engine failure, an unfortunate break for Magnussen, the Palm Beach International Raceway winner, out of the final race of the season, and his final points-paying start in that number 33 car with an engine failure. And so the pace car pulls on the pit road, as well as the number 33 of Jan Magnussen with that engine failure. Truex leads the field in the Geico restart zone, and there is the green flag for stage number 2 here in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race. The field roars down into turn number 1. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. gets a good restart above the 55 of Chastain, as here comes the 40 of Half to the bottom, going for that second spot. Quinn Half and Ross Chastain both had a good shot at winning the race back at Watkins Glen a few months ago. Unfortunately, pit strategy caught them out, as here comes the 40 of Quinn Half to the bottom of Martin Truex Jr. The Kansas race winner from just a few seasons ago goes out to the race lead off of turn number 4. Quinn Half will lead the field here in Atlanta after having a very tough season. Down on the inside, these two still battle side by side. The field once again on fresh tires, so the first 10 or so laps of this run will be nearly full throttle. 24 of William Byron down on the inside. He's going to cut up in front of the 95 of Harrison Burton, as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. powers by the number 40 of Quinn Half up on the outside. A big power move by that number 19 to clear a car on the bottom on fresh tires. I know there's higher banking up there, but typically the fresh tires on the bottom is the way to go. And look at that, entering turn number 1, the 55 of Ross Chastain slides up the racetrack just a little bit and allows both the 24 and 22 cars of Byron and Logano to shoot by him, as those two now battle for the third position. Here comes the 53 of Briscoe down on the bottom. Briscoe making his way through this field very quickly, now up in the fourth position, trying to close the gap up to the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr., who seems to be unstoppable at the moment. Him and the number 40 of Quinn Half have kind of escaped this field at the moment. Here comes the 40 car back down to the inside. Off of turn number 2, they still run dead side by side. And into turn number 3, let's see how long they can keep this battle going. Through 3 and 4, Truex still not giving up. The 40 of Quinn Half trying to clear the number 19 car, Martin Truex Jr. At the line, it was the 40 to lead the lap. These two putting on a great battle here in the season finale 500. Through turns 1 and 2, still nobody giving up. The two lines have actually formed up behind them. They've stayed side by side for so long as there was contact farther back between Sheldon Creed and Joe Nemechek. The 25 and 87 cars got into it with each other, as the 40 of Quinn Half takes away the top spot off the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. 53 of Chase Briscoe almost lost the nose right there behind the 22 of Logano. Almost got up into the outside wall, as here comes Ankrum to the inside, and Chris Buescher going 3 wide for the race lead. 26 of Ankrum holds it for the moment. Buescher in the middle. Now Austin Dillon goes 3 wide for the race lead down the back straightaway. Fresh tires bring incredible racing here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. 17 of Buescher trying to take over that top spot off the fourth corner. The 40 of Quinn Half got put into such a sucker hole that he's already now down to 5th position. And the 17 of Chris Buescher is your race leader here at Atlanta. After having a relatively troublesome season, Buescher would love to close out this year with a victory. Here in the season finale 500, we've got nearly a battle for the championship lead once again, as the 19 of Truex drops back, as does the 53 of Briscoe. and the number 3 of Austin Dillon. His final points-paying start in that machine is the 19 of Truex. Gets up into the outside wall. Martin Truex Jr., the championship point leader, hits the outside wall and brings the 53 of Briscoe right to his inside. Those two almost crashed off of the fourth corner. Hamlin trying to make it 4 wide in the turn 1. Greg Biffle up into the outside wall once again. 53 of Briscoe takes over the championship lead. And now, once again, just like the Camping World Truck Series race, the championship battle is occurring outside the top 20. 53 of Briscoe, 19 of Truex, 00 of Suarez, and 9 of Elliott, all running outside the top 20 at the moment. But things got very dicey right there in those last few laps as the 17 of Chris Buescher has lost the race lead to the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. Now the 3 of Austin Dillon to the inside of Harvick. Those two are future teammates at Stewart Evernham Racing as the number 3 of Austin Dillon clears the 4 of Harvick down the back straightaway. And the 12 of Blaney goes down to the inside. Now the pole sitter once again out in front. Even though he will not lead a lap, at least not at the moment. You got to admire the effort this number 3 team has put together. Austin Dillon started dead last in 39th position and at least had the lead for about half a lap. Now his teammate, the number 50 of Kaz Gralla, goes down to the inside. Gralla is going to take over the second spot, bring the number 95 of Harrison Burton with him. 14 of Clint Boyer making his way back through this field, passing his teammate of Kevin Harvick. 26 of Ankrum, 3 wide to the bottom. And I believe the 53 of Briscoe is getting put 4 wide through turns 3 and 4 by the 20 of Brandon Jones. He gets through that situation cleanly, but it almost got extremely dicey as we got another 4 wide moment. Down into turn number 1, Clinton Boyer goes 4 wide on the 48, 26, and 95 cars, trying to take over the second spot. Boyer's going to lose a little bit of his momentum down the back straightaway. He's going to drop down to the 3rd position, but incredible battles all throughout this field here at Atlanta. Briscoe back to the bottom going 4 wide. Chase Briscoe gets through that situation cleanly. The 22 and 3 cars both lose the front end off of turn number 4. Truex and Suarez battling for second in points in the middle of this hornet's nest, running about 20th on back. Martin Truex Jr. down on the inside is going to take over the second spot in points. Once again, this is the farthest forward in points that the 00 of Suarez has made it in quite a while. The number 9 of Chase Elliott still trying to make his way through this field, kind of stuck somewhat at the back. And the race lead is swapped once again. The 48 of Bowman out into the race lead, getting around the 12 of Ryan Blaney. 14 of Clint Boyer is going to take over the second spot, running his tribute paint scheme to his rookie season that he ran for Richard Childress Racing. And here comes Clint Boyer down to the inside. Going to try and take over that race lead once again down the back straightaway. Getting a little bit of help from the 50 of Kaz Gralla. Through turns 3 and 4 goes the 14 of Clint Boyer. Boyer is back out in front of this field. The 50 of Kaz Gralla, the Rookie of the Year award winner, is going to take over the second position off of the 4th corner. And look at the 53 of Briscoe. It has definitely knocked a lot of speed out of that number 19 car, Martin Truex Jr., hitting the outside wall with so much force. And now the 53 of Briscoe takes over the 6th position, but runs with the number 88 of Brad Keselowski, who's slowing him up just a little bit on the exit of turn number 2. And we got a 3-wide battle for the race lead. Alex Bowman sends it into the 3rd turn on the 50 of Kaz Gralla and the 14 of Clint Boyer side by side down to the start-finish line. It was the 48 of Bowman to lead that lap. Incredible racing here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway as the 48 of Alex Bowman takes over the race lead through turns 1 and 2. The 17 of Chris Buescher going to try and take over second once again. 19 of Martin Truex Jr. starting to make his way back through this field. So maybe that outside wall contact has not affected his speed as much as I had initially thought, as the 17 of Chris Buescher takes over the race lead here at Atlanta. Putting on a very good performance for Roush Fenway Racing here in the season finale 500. Here comes the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. down to the bottom, as the 11 of Hamlin and 53 of Briscoe almost make contact off of turn number 2. You got to wonder if Hamlin could possibly be boxing in the 53 car Briscoe purposefully. Not only does he have a grudge against that 53 machine, but he could be handing his teammate the championship lead as he does so through turns 3 and 4. Martin Truex Jr. back up into the point lead here at Atlanta. The number 12 car of Ryan Blaney has taken over the race lead once again here in the season finale 500. The number 20 of Brandon Jones goes down to the inside, taking over second for Joe Gibbs Racing. Currently also battling for 5th position in overall point standings is the 88 car Brad Keselowski, the defending race winner here at Atlanta. He won here last season for Team Penske. Goes down to the inside of the number 17 of Chris Buescher. and takes over the third position as the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. still holds that championship lead. The 53 of Briscoe got kicked up to the high side as there's about 20 laps to go in stage number 2 at the moment. 53 car still dropping back right there, gets passed by the 24 and 2 of both William Byron and Matt DiBenedetto. Down on the inside, we got the 88 car of Brad Keselowski going for the second position as the 3 of Austin Dillon tries to go 4 wide. Through turns 3 and 4, he makes the move stick and is now battling with the 48 of Bowman. He's going to back off into the quad oval as Brad Keselowski has taken over the second position here at Atlanta. 50 of Kaz Gralla once again making his way through this field, getting a little bit of a push from the 43 of Myatt Snyder. Down the back straightaway, the 50 of Kaz Gralla trying to get to the inside of the 20 of Brandon Jones. Those two are going to run side by side into turn number 3. As Kaz Gralla is going to take over the 4th position here at Atlanta, the 88 of Brad Keselowski tucked right up to the back bumper of his former teammate, Ryan Blaney, in the number 12 car. And through turns 1 and 2, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. got put into the middle by the number 1 of Kurt Busch and the 17 of Chris Buescher. So Truex starting to drop back once again, and the 53 and 00 cars are running nose to tail at the moment. Greg Biffle almost got turned around by the number 40 of Quinn Half coming off of the 4th corner. Drove it almost all the way down onto the apron, but those two keep it together. I am still incredibly impressed with the fact that we have not had an incident as of yet here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway with how dicey the racing has been as the 48 of Bowman goes down to the inside of the 12 of Ryan Blaney going after that top spot. Down the front straightaway, the 48 car Bowman leads this field here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. The 43 of Myatt Snyder is going to take over second at the moment. Now looking for that race lead down into turn number 1 as there's a little bit of contact right there on entry between the 3 of Austin Dillon and the 14 of Clint Boyer. Austin Cindric has now made his name known in the top 10. He did not have a very good run in stage number 1, must have got some adjustments on that race car, and now charging his way through this field as Bowman is your race leader here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway above the 88 of Brad Keselowski. That is a Hendrick Motorsports 1-2 here in the season finale 500. Daniel Suarez has taken over second in the championship point lead, working his way now up to the back bumper, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. These championship contenders are battling from 22nd back to 38th. Battles all throughout this field as we got the intense fight for the race lead and also for the championship point lead. As the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. just raced his way around the 25 of Sheldon Creed and now the 55 of Ross Chastain. The 2 Hendrick Motorsports cars of Bowman and Keselowski still lead this field at the moment. 43 of Myatt Snyder sets in the 3rd spot. 26 of Tyler Ankrum running in 4th position. As the field has started to string out just a little bit because of the worn tires late in this run in stage number 2. Here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch back down to the inside of the number 3 of Austin Dillon. And so Kyle Busch is going to take over that spot off the number 3 machine of Austin Dillon. The Andy's Frozen Custard Chevrolet, dropping back just a little bit as he slid up the racetrack. The 20 of Brandon Jones now takes a look down to the inside of the 43 of Myatt Snyder, falls back in line to get into the draft of the number 43 car. As here comes the 88 of Keselowski, taking just a slight look down to the inside of the 48 of Alex Bowman. Didn't quite make the move off of turn number 4. These two just kind of riding in line, trying to gap this field in the final 11 laps of stage number 2. Number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. starting to carve his way back through this field on older rubber. This car starting to come alive once again, makes a 3-wide move down to the inside of DiBenedetto and Tyler Reddick as Reddick backs out on entry to turn number 3. Myatt Snyder going to the inside of the 88 car of Brad Keselowski. These two battle side by side for the 2nd position. And Snyder's going to take over that spot. The number 12 of Ryan Blaney is going to drive up beside the 88 car of Keselowski, trying to follow suit with the 43 of Snyder. And Blaney is going to take the 3rd position here with just 10 laps to go in the 2nd stage. 14 of Clint Boyer with a great run through turns 3 and 4. Gets around the 21 of Cindric, now side by side with the 20 of Brandon Jones. 19 car of Martin Truex Jr. really working through this field at the moment. 19 cars all the way up in the 12th spot after just being a couple laps ago down in 22nd. Number 12 car of Ryan Blaney still sets in line behind the number 48 of Alex Bowman. These two kind of riding in line out in front of this field. 14 of Boyer down to the inside of the 43 of Myatt Snyder got kicked up to the high side by the 12 of Blaney. Here comes a 3-wide move getting made by Grella. It's like when two cars get side by side, it slows them down just enough for that third lane to open up down on the bottom, and somebody normally takes advantage of it. Grella gets around at least the 43 of Myatt Snyder, as does the 12 of Clint Boyer. Now those two battle side by side into the third corner. Boyer trying to use highline momentum. Kaz Grella down on the bottom, but once again, here comes the third car into the mix as Grella clears the 14 of Boyer, and Brandon Jones makes his way down to the inside of the 50 car, but the 50 holds serve into turn number 1. Kyle Busch down on the inside of his long-term rival of Clint Boyer. As you recall, these two have ran into each other quite a bit this season, but not just this year, but if you look back all the way through their careers, they've gotten into each other more than once. But right there, Kyle Busch makes his way past Clint Boyer as Boyer embarks on his final start of his full-time Cup Series career. Kyle Busch just trying to win out in the 2021 season after getting eliminated from championship contention last week at Talladega. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr., though, might be a threat for a stage sweep. He's got just enough time with 6 laps to go, although got boxed in right there by the 24 of Ankrum. But Truex has raced his way up into this top 10. The 88 car, Brad Keselowski's taken over the second spot once again, a Hendrick Motorsports 1-2 at the moment, as that 48 car of Alex Bowman is very strong out in front. Once that car gets out into clean air, it just kind of rockets. But now we have a 3-wide move being made by the 18 of Kyle Busch. Busch going for that third position as there's contact off of the second corner. Boyer made a little bit of contact with the number 50 of Kaz Grella, almost turned Grella down into the 18 of Kyle Busch. Busch backs off just a little bit into turn number 3 and now races the 50 of Grella off of the fourth corner. How about this? The number 1 of Kurt Busch is now running up in the top 10. He had a very tough stage number 1, but just like Austin Cindric, that team worked on that car after the stage number 1 caution, and now they are really looking strong in stage number 2. If they can work on that car just a little bit more, they might be poised to take home yet another victory to close out the season, as they won just 2 weeks ago at Homestead. The 12 of Blaney takes over the second spot off the 88 of Brad Keselowski as laps are starting to wind down in stage number 2. Down the front straightaway, the 18 and 88 cars battle for that third position. 18 car looks like he's going to try and take it away through turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch back up into third position. Martin Truex Jr. almost slid up into the number 43 of Myatt Snyder through turns 1 and 2. Blaney has really made great gains on the 48 car of Alex Bowman, although moves up the racetrack to try and find some more grip, actually finds less of it, as now he's starting to drop back into the hands of the number 18 of Kyle Busch. Just 2 laps to go in stage number 2 here at Atlanta. Still, no cautions due to an accident here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, so we're clicking off laps very quickly as Kyle Busch takes over the second position. Down the back straightaway, Busch has quite a large separation between him and the number 48 of Alex Bowman that he has to make up in just a lap and a half. Not sure if it's quite doable, but you saw Truex make a great rally through 3 and 4 on the last lap of stage 1 to take the stage number 1 victory. As the white flag now waves in stage number 2 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Kyle Busch carried good momentum on the front straightaway. Takes a look down to the inside of the 48 of Bowman into turn number 1. And look at that, Kyle Busch makes the move stick easily and clears the 48 car Bowman down the back straightaway. Once again, a final lap in the stage pass for the race lead. Kyle Busch out in front. Brad Keselowski's going to try and take over second. Coming back to the start-finish line, Boyer in the mix, and the 19 of Truex backed out. Off of the fourth corner, Kyle Busch is going to win stage number 2 here in the season finale 500 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch is your stage number 2 winner here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, above the 88, who did in fact steal second, above his teammate Alex Bowman. Coming back to the start-finish line, Bowman takes home a third-place spot in the second stage. The 14 of Clint Boyer brought it home in fourth position, and the number 12 of Ryan Blaney, your pole sitter, raced up to fifth as the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. backed out, coming back to the green and white checkered flag. I'm assuming he saw the racing getting just a little bit too dicey for him to want to maybe give up his chance at a championship just for a green and white checkered flag. But now Kyle Busch leads the majority of the field down pit road here at the conclusion of stage number 2. But we got a couple cars staying out, including Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr. will stay out on the racetrack, as well as the number 43 of Myatt Snyder, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, and that is it of the cars that stay out. I really wonder what that strategy is. as we have 3 cars remaining on the racetrack, and every other car is going to be on fresh tires. We saw the disparity between having fresh tires and not in the Camping World Truck Series race. You're full throttle when you're on fresh tires for at least the first 10 or so laps of the run. These top 3 guys are not going to be nearly full throttle. It sounds like an easy way to lose a lot of time, not coming down pit road at the moment. And so the first car out of the pits was the stage number 2 winner of Kyle Busch above the 88 of Brad Keselowski. Bit of history between those two, as the 50 of Kaz Gralla got off in 3rd, 20 of Brandon Jones 4th, and the 12 of Ryan Blaney in the 5th position out of the pits. And it's worth noting that the rest of the championship 4 contenders did not get very good pit stops. The 00 of Daniel Suarez got off pit road outside the top 20. The 53 of Chase Briscoe actually lost spots in the pits and got out right next to the number 9 of Chase Elliott, who struggled all day long. Also, some news on the number 7 of Corey LaJoie. They believe that they might have had a plug wire off at the end of stage number 2, as that car was very far off the pace. They believe that they have got the issue rectified. And folks, have a look at this. The 43 of Myatt Snyder and the 26 of Tyler Ankrum are coming down pit road this time by. This is 2 laps after the rest of the field pitted. So maybe they're going for kind of a fuel strategy, just saving two additional laps under this caution flag period of gas, maybe trying to go for a short pit in the final stage, trying to go just a little bit longer on the final stint after they make their pit stop in the final stage. But the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is still out on the racetrack, and the lights are off on the pace car. Truex is committed to this strategy. Do you recall the strategy that they pulled off at Homestead 2 weeks ago? They came down pit road 1 lap before the green and lost all their track position but had fresher tires. Well, it is way too late to try and make that move because the lights are off on the pace car. Martin Truex Jr. is practically going to be a sitting duck on this restart. He's got 40-lap-old tires, and the rest of the field is on fresh rubber. This might be a bit of a moving chicane on this restart because I don't think Truex is going to be able to go nearly as fast as everyone else behind him. It's going to be a hornet's nest trying to get around that 19 machine, and I'm not a very big fan of this risk that a championship contender would make. I'm not really sure what strategy they're going for. Maybe they could pull something off that hasn't been tried before because I definitely don't have a read on what they're going for at the moment. And so the pace car hits pit road once again. Watch Martin Truex Jr. on this restart, the only car on old rubber. He leads the field into the Geico restart zone. And there is the green flag for the final stage of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. Truex spun the tires on the restart. Kyle Busch, his teammate, jumps up to the outside quickly and takes over the race lead through turns 1 and 2. 18 car back out in front of this field. 19 car pretty much a sitting duck on this restart. Finally getting that car up to speed down the back straightaway. But now already sets down in the 3rd spot. Now getting put 3 wide into turn number 3 by the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Blaney takes over the 2nd spot. Martin Truex Jr. drops back now almost outside the top 5 as there's contact through the quad oval. The number 2 of Matt DiBenedetto gets turned around, as well as the 21 of Cindric. The field flies apart on the front straightaway. 21 makes contact into the outside wall. The 9, 53, and 00 cars all made it through. The 87 of Joe Nemechek got some damage out of that, but the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. being slow on the restart checked up the field and has already led to a caution here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Racing back to the flag, it was the number 18 of Kyle Busch, your race leader, above the 50 of Kaz Gralla, the 20 of Brandon Jones, the 12 of Ryan Blaney, and the 48 of Alex Bowman. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. dropped all the way down to 9th after just 1 lap after the restart. Well, I knew we couldn't quite go forever without some type of trouble in this race. We made it fairly long without getting any cautions due to an accident, in fact, more than halfway. But as you see, the number 19 of Truex drops through the middle. That boxes up that middle line. The 55 of Chastain clips the 88 of Brad Keselowski's left rear quarter panel, sending Keselowski down into his teammate of Alex Bowman. That then kicks the 88 car up towards the outside wall. He clips into the 3 of Austin Dillon in the Andes Frozen Custard Chevrolet, turning that 3 car up into the outside wall. Now that impact actually saved the 88 car Keselowski. You see the 1 of Kurt Busch all the way down into the grass, but then the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto makes contact with the 3 of Austin Dillon and gets turned down into his future replacement in the number 2 car, the number 21 of Austin Cindric. So now the 2 and 21 cars are spinning down the front straightaway. The 95 of Harrison Burton clips the 42 up into the outside wall. There's the 11 of Denny Hamlin getting into this, getting some damage into the 57 of Kyle Larson and the 95 of Harrison Burton. The 11 car gets very minimal damage out of this, though, as you see right there the spinning 21 car. The 14 of Clinton Boyer goes up into the outside wall right here as he's trying to miss the 21 of Cindric. Cindric slides into the wall, pinching the 14 car up into the outside wall, both left and right side damage on the 14 of Boyer in the final start of his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career. The 2 car of DiBenedetto, after getting the car corrected, then hits the left rear wheel of the 95 of Harrison Burton, and then we got cars just stacking up. As the 21 sets sideways, the 40 makes contact with the 21, the 6 of Newman involved, the 10 of Almirola, 87 of Joe Nemechek, 43 of Myatt Snyder, 22 of Logano, the regular season champion, 23 of Bubba Wallace, and 41 of Cole Custer, your outside pole sitter, all involved in this one down the front straightaway. But shockingly, the 9, 53, and 00 cars all made it through unscathed. And here's a look at the accordion effect that happened towards the tail end of the field. 43 of Snyder just does not get the memo that the field is checking up. There's a lot of smoke up in front of him. Piles into the number 22 of Logano, as does the 26. And just about 6 or so cars pile up into this mess, exiting the front straightaway. And so here's what it looked like from championship contender Daniel Suarez. Down the front straightaway, the field starts making contact. Pulls his way down to the inside, almost gets hit in the right side by the 57 of Larson, but makes it through without any damage whatsoever. And a bit of a tougher situation for both the 9 and 53 cars. You see those two running nose to tail. The wreck happens right up in front of them, and they both have to weave through traffic on the right and left sides to get through without making contact. But surprisingly, neither Briscoe, Elliott, nor Suarez got any damage from that massive pileup coming into turn 1. And so we got some cars pitting, those being just the ones that received some form of crash damage, such as Austin Dillon, Matt DiBenedetto, Justin Allgaier, Harrison Burton, Austin Cindric, and a couple others. And so the lights are off on the pace car this time by, and believe it or not, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. still has not come down pit road. He sets in 9th position at the moment. So that means that Truex and his team are still committed to staying out on those older tires. I really don't understand what type of strategy they're trying to pull off here, but if it does work out, it will be one of the biggest upsets, I guess you could say, when it comes to strategy maybe ever performed here at Atlanta. Pace car hits pit road. Kyle Busch in the number 18 Sports Clips Toyota Camry leads the field into the Geico restart zone. And there is the green flag on lap number 90. Busch gets a good jump, and once again, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. spins the tires on the restart on those now 50-lap-old tires. 18 of Kyle Busch holds that lead above now his teammate, the number 20 of Brandon Jones, makes a look down to the inside and takes over that second spot off Kaz Gralla. Here comes the 00 of Daniel Suarez, taking the 25 of Sheldon Creed with him, trying to crack the top 10 as the 17 checks up on entry to turn number 3. Drops back just a little bit. We got a 3-wide battle for the race lead. Harvick down on the bottom. Ross Chastain going through the middle. These 3 battle down into turn number 1. Harvick going to try and send it in all the way down on the red and white line. Kyle Busch backs out on the exit of turn number 2. And there's contact farther back between the 47 and 53 cars as the 00's taking over the championship lead. Almost gets put 4 wide into turn 3. Ross Chastain is your race leader as the field goes 4 wide, including the 00 of Suarez in the middle of that mess. A little bit of contact right there almost between the 00 and 20 cars of Suarez and Brandon Jones is out front. The 55 of Chastain leads this field. How about this? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. trying to race around his teammate of Eric Jones up into the top 10. Now both JTG Daugherty cars are running in the top 10 as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. still drops back through this field. He has fallen all the way down to 4th in points as the number 9 of Chase Elliott has even passed him. That 19 car is struggling massively on those old tires. Out in front of this field, the 00 of Daniel Suarez has really come on strong in these last few laps. He must have made some perfect adjustments on that race car at the conclusion of stage number 2 and just now been able to show it. And Chase Briscoe, as we've seen, has already escaped 2 big moments in this race. Almost turned around Blaney earlier on, and now almost turned around the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now makes a 3-wide move down to the inside, getting around Brandon Jones and Sheldon Creed as Suarez takes over the 3rd spot. Currently your championship point leader, and Kyle Busch going for the race lead here at Atlanta. Through turns 1 and 2, Kyle Busch back up into the top spot as the 12 of Blaney goes down to the inside, trying to take over the 3rd position off of Daniel Suarez. Down the back straightaway, though, Chastain and Suarez, the two teammates, work together up on the outside line as the field flies by. You see the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. has already dropped to being the lowest car on the track without any damage on that number 19 machine. The 53 of Chase Briscoe has closed the gap up to his teammate and fellow championship contender Daniel Suarez. Just a few cars separate him from the 00 as Suarez goes down the back straightaway, trying to take over the third spot. Here comes the number 9 of Chase Elliott, working his way through this field finally. How the tables have turned. Martin Truex Jr. seemed to be almost indefeatable earlier on in this race, but now, with a poor strategy move, he has dropped all the way down to last of the cars not damaged. Currently about 5 seconds behind the race leader. The 9 and 00 cars are rocketing their ways forward, and the pole sitter of Ryan Blaney goes down to the inside of the number 18 of Kyle Busch. Blaney takes over the top spot once again. That's worth noting. The number 43 of Myatt Snyder has now dropped out of the race due to crash damage suffered in that earlier race incident. The 00 of Suarez going down to the bottom for the race lead as we got a battle for second in points. Chase Elliott side by side with Chase Briscoe. Elliott looks like he might be able to take over the spot as Suarez trying to take over that race lead. But remember, behind him is Eric Jones, and those two have a bit of a rivalry going on. If you recall the events at Road America, Jones was left very upset with the 00 car, and now puts him up to the high side as the 12 car of Blaney gets crowded up into the outside wall nearly by the 00. The 50 of Kaz Gralla shoots by both of them to take away the race lead. What an impressive move right there by Gralla, taking over the top spot. He's got a victory in a mile and a half earlier on in this season at the Kansas Speedway, trying to win his second career NASCAR Cup Series race here this afternoon at Atlanta. And it's also worth noting that the 22 of Joe Logano has now dropped out of this race due to crash damage as well. Joining the number 43 of Myatt Snyder behind the wall. A 4-wide move gets made by Harvick on the bottom as Chase Elliott gets put through the middle. And now nearly a 4-wide move as Chase Briscoe drives his way beyond this hornet's nest of cars as Boyer goes to the bottom going 4 wide. We got another pass for the lead. Eric Jones out to the top spot, the North Wilkesboro race winner. The two Roush Fenway Fords down on the inside. That is Ryan Newman and Chris Buescher driving their way through this field as the 50 of Kaz Gralla backs off on entry to turn number 3, checks up the 00, and here comes the 53 down to the bottom. Chase Briscoe takes over the championship point lead down the front straightaway off his teammate of Daniel Suarez. Ryan Newman on the bottom going for the race lead. And off of the second corner, Ryan Newman is now your race leader here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, trying to leave Roush Fenway Racing with a victory. And the 53 of Chase Briscoe is back into the point lead. And now another lead change. The 55 of Ross Chastain to the bottom of the 6 of Newman. Chastain's going to take that spot away as the 18 of Kyle Busch backed out, coming through the quad oval. 6 of Newman reassumes second position. Here comes Jones down to the bottom, and Eric Jones takes over that second spot off of the second corner. The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. now sets 9 seconds behind the race leader and is drafting with the damaged race car of Cole Custer. This is a big loss of time that they are taking from not coming down pit road at the conclusion of stage number 2. Now, once again, we have the battle for the championship lead. Daniel Suarez to the inside of 53 of Chase Briscoe. Down to turn number 1, though, it's the 00 of Suarez taking back that championship lead as those two's teammate, Ross Chastain, leads this field at the moment here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the only member of Starcom Speed Station, in fact, to not have a victory this season. How about this? The number 25 of Sheldon Creed currently runs up in 11th position in his second career points-paying start in his NASCAR Cup Series career. He's being elevated to full-time competition next season and is already showing off quite well here in the season finale 500. Down the back straightaway, here comes the 53 of Briscoe, almost onto the apron, straddling that red and white line down on the inside. He's going to take the spot off the 6 of Ryan Newman. The 00 has been kicked up to the high side once again as Chastain leads this field above Kevin Harvick and Eric Jones. Down the inside, Chris Buescher is going to take over the 4th position off of the 48 of Alex Bowman. Here comes another battle for the championship lead. The 53 of Briscoe to the inside, the 00 of Daniel Suarez. Briscoe is going to take over the spot through turns 3 and 4. As the 48 of Bowman now works his way down to the inside of the 17 of Chris Buescher. Trying to now go 3 wide on him. Opportunity underneath the 37 and 17 to try and go for a twofer into turn number 1. It looks like he's going to make the move stick as the battle for the championship lead once again heats up. Sheldon Creed trying to make it 4 wide off of the second corner. All the way down onto the apron, he backs out, coming down to turn number 3. A wise move there from a driver only in his second Cup Series start, but he passes about 4 cars with that maneuver. 53 of Briscoe, your championship point leader. The number 9 of Chase Elliott getting up into this mix. And now the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. comes down pit road. He's going to take 4 tires, and this will be the last pit stop of the day for Martin Truex Jr. He comes down pit road about 11 seconds behind the race leader. They definitely do not want a caution. They're hoping that this big of a short pit will cycle them in front of quite a few cars. And so now Chase Elliott works his way down to the inside of the 00 of Daniel Suarez, trying to take over the second spot in championship points. Now going 3 wide on him with Ryan Newman put in the middle. But imagine what it would mean if Chase Elliott could pull off a championship here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, his home racetrack, just like his father did here in 1988. As you see, the field now passes the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Now, that typically wouldn't be that big of a deal. That only put the 19 car down 1 lap, but because of his deficit to the leader when he came down pit road, that's actually the second lap that Martin Truex Jr. has been put down. So that means if he gets a caution, it will be pretty much insurmountable of a deficit to the leader, being 2 laps behind the race leader once a caution flag falls and having to manually get both laps back. Martin Truex Jr. absolutely wants this race to go green from here on out as Kyle Busch takes over the second spot off the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. 53 of Briscoe still holds the championship lead as the number 9 of Chase Elliott has started to drop back. As you can tell, the field's starting to spread out quite a bit. As the tires degrade here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, handling becomes more and more critical. But how about Sheldon Creed up into 4th position in his second career Cup Series start for GMS Racing? Creed definitely doing a lot with only his second career Cup Series start and in the second car at GMS Racing. Being crew chief by his same Camping World Truck Series crew chief of Jeff Stankiewicz, as Kurt Busch has now started to carve his way through this field, goes down to the inside of Harvick and takes over the 3rd position. 48 of Alex Bowman's going to take over the 4th spot as well. 25 cars starting to drop back just a little bit as the 00 goes for a 3 wide move down to turn number 1. Gets around both the 37 of Jones and the 25 of Sheldon Creed, trying to close the gap up to his teammate and championship point leader of Chase Briscoe down the back straightaway. Here comes Kyle Busch down to the bottom of the 55 of Ross Chastain. Kurt Busch, his older brother, slides up the racetrack, opens the door for the 48 of Bowman on the bottom. As Hamlin almost gets clipped in the left rear by the 17 of Buescher farther back, Kyle Busch leads at the start-finish line. Down to turn number 1, Kyle Busch has cleared the field for the race lead. The 48 of Alex Bowman takes over the second spot. The number 11 of Denny Hamlin is starting to quickly make his way through this field. And as you can see, the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. is very stout on fresh tires. He had pretty much the best race car for the first 2 stages, but that poor pit strategy has caught him out 2 laps down. Martin Truex Jr. just needs this race from here on out to go caution-free. Hopefully short pit some people and run the best possible laps he can right now to try and get some time built up on them for the later stages of this race. They're playing the long run, trying to win this championship on strategy. But if we get a caution, it will absolutely destroy their chances being trapped down 2 laps. Here comes the 53 of Briscoe down on the inside, going for the second spot. Here is the number 41 of Cole Custer up in front of these leaders, the lap car. Let's see which lane Kyle Busch takes to try and possibly take advantage of the lap car, using it as a pick against someone else. Busch now looks down to the inside on the 41 of Cole Custer. Looks like the outside line is going to be somewhat boxed in by this. The 55 of Ross Chastain gets around the 41 easily, closes the gap up to the back bumper of Kyle Busch. And takes a look down to the inside now as the 55s close the gap. We got a lead change in the championship points. The 00 of Daniel Suarez takes that spot in points away from his teammate of Chase Briscoe. 55 of Ross Chastain takes over the race lead once again. And down the back straightaway, that 53 of Briscoe getting heavily boxed in by the 41 of Cole Custer, still losing spots. Now running once again side by side with his rival of Denny Hamlin. But now Suarez holds that championship lead in the 3rd position on track as the 4 of Kevin Harvick works his way to the inside of the 55 of Ross Chastain. Harvick is going to take away the race lead, searching for his second victory of the 2021 season. Won all the way back at Louisville in the spring. As Harvick holds that race lead, another veteran of our sport goes down to the inside. The number 1 of Kurt Busch takes over second as the 55 just barely boxes in his teammate of Suarez as Suarez loses the nose off of turn number 4. Pushes up off of the fourth corner, loses a little bit of time. Farther back, we got the number 9 of Chase Elliott taking over the second spot in championship points off the 53 of Chase Briscoe. Now works his way to the inside of Sheldon Creed and Ryan Blaney. But Elliott starting to finally find some speed as the 1 car of Kurt Busch leads this field here in Atlanta. Got his way around the number 4 of Kevin Harvick. Chase Elliott has driven his way up into 13th position as the 00 of Daniel Suarez has started to drop back just a little bit. The 11 of Hamlin quickly marching his way forward. Seems like they've kind of stumbled into a good long run setup after working on that car for quite a few runs through the first 2 stages. Kurt Busch leads this field here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, won at Homestead, Miami just 2 weeks ago. Kurt Busch will not be returning to the number 1 machine next season, but it looks like that team has finally found some speed this year in the 2021 season. The 53 of Briscoe is taken back second in points as the 19 of Truex races his way through this field, hoping to get back to just being 1 lap down. Here comes the 53 of Briscoe to the bottom. 3 Championship 4 contenders running 3 wide. Martin Truex Jr. obviously not on the same lap, but still Championship 4 battling going on at the moment. As the battle is between Suarez and Briscoe, Briscoe takes over the spot in points once again. Hamlin running side by side with him. A lead change once again. 48 of Bowman out in front of this field above the 1 of Kurt Busch as the 17 of Buescher works his way down to the inside. 17 and 1 cars run side by side as the 4 of Kevin Harvick now getting battled by the 18 of Kyle Busch. The 00 has dropped back in the hands of the number 9 of Chase Elliott going for second in the point standings, but Elliott loses the nose as Greg Biffle short pits the field. Biffle, with the exception of Martin Truex Jr., pretty much opens up the pit window here at Atlanta in this final stage. Racing through turns 1 and 2, the 17 of Chris Buescher still trying to get his way around the 1 of Kurt Busch. As there's contact coming off of turn number 2. The 6 of Ryan Newman gets turned around in front of the 00 and the 9 of Chase Elliott. 25 of Sheldon Creed turns upside down. So does the 41 of Cole Custer into the 3rd turn. A massive pileup here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway involving 2 of the Championship 4. And there's a lot of front and rear end damage on the number 9 machine of Chase Elliott. The 00 of Daniel Suarez is not very heavily damaged whatsoever. Might have got some scrapes out of this, but a lot of cars are damaged coming down into turn number 3 here in the season finale 500. The 48 of Bowman led the field back to the caution above the 17 of Chris Buescher, the 18 of Kyle Busch, and the 1 of Kurt Busch. And that has trapped the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. 2 laps behind the race leader. Pretty much ending his chances at a championship at this point. He's got one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. If he gets more cautions and can stay in front of the race leader, he might be able to get those 2 laps back, but he will be now at, once again, a tire deficit. Very, very troubling news for the number 19 team. They are now stuck 2 laps behind the leader. And once again, this was another crash that was started from the front bumper of the number 55 of Ross Chastain, running through turns 1 and 2. Makes contact just barely with the left rear quarter panel, the number 6 of Ryan Newman, and turns him around right in front of the field. A little bit of contact right there between the 55 and 20 of Brandon Jones. And the 6 just gets turned around right in front of this pack. He got the 00 of Daniel Suarez, the Championship 4 contender. The 11 of Denny Hamlin makes contact with the 00. And the 00 actually gets clipped in the left rear by the spinning number 6 of Newman and turned away from the accident. Very minimal damage on the 00 of Daniel Suarez. However, the 9 car of Chase Elliott was not so lucky. Drills into the number 55. And there you see the 25 of Sheldon Creed gets on 2 wheels and gets driven underneath by the 40 of Quinn Half. And there was the 41 of Cole Custer driving into the 9 of Chase Elliott. That's how Elliott got both the front and rear end damage. I guess here comes the 8 of Reddick. That doesn't look good either. And drives right into the rear end of the number 9 of Chase Elliott. But you see the 25 car of Sheldon Creed turning over right there. And then the 41 gets turned over in a very similar way. Gets shifted onto 2 wheels right there and turned over by the 21 of Austin Cindric. But there's the 41 car of Cole Custer flipping upside down, and then the 25 finally rolls after falling off the 40 of Quinn Half. The 41 finally ends his flipping, but right here, the 95 of Harrison Burton just clips the rear end of the 25 of Sheldon Creed while he was upside down, turning him over even more violently in the flip, and that car finally comes to rest on its wheels. Fortunately, no drivers were injured in this accident. What a phenomenal second start in the NASCAR Cup Series here at Atlanta for Sheldon Creed. Goes oh so wrong in the latter stages. Right there, gets hit by the 95. A big impact there, but fortunately was uninjured climbing out of that race car. And here's the way it looked for the number 41 of Cole Custer once again. Just rams the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Then Elliott gets rammed once again by the 8, but then the 41 gets turned over by the 21 of Austin Cindric, rolls on top of the number 8 of Reddick, and slides off of the high banks as Larson and Harrison Burton pile into the mess. And so here's the onboard from the number 25 of Sheldon Creed. Coming through turns 3 and 4. Right there's the contact. The mess forms up in front of him. Gets hit right here by the 40 of Quinn Half, turns up onto the side, and then finally rolls over when the 40 car pulls away, violently tumbles and gets hit by the number 95 of Harrison Burton, coming to rest on all 4 tires. And finally, here's championship contender Chase Elliott's perspective of the wreck, running just up in front of Sheldon Creed. Wreck forms up right in front of him. 00 just barely gets through it, but Elliott hits the 55 and gets slammed in the rear end by both the 8 of Reddick and the 41 of Cole Custer. Quite a bit of rear-end damage on the number 9 machine. And while the pit strategy was a tale of complete and total misfortune for the number 19 team, now being trapped 2 laps down, it was actually perfect for the 69 of Greg Biffle. Guess what? They let him back by the pace car, he's back on the lead lap, and he short-pitted everyone. Greg Biffle came down pit road the very same lap that the field ended up crashing, so it was perfect timing for the number 69 team. And the first car out of the pits is the number 17 of Chris Buescher, getting out in front of the 48 of Alex Bowman, the 18 of Kyle Busch, the 1 of Kurt Busch, and the 50 of Kaz Gralla. And by the way, the number 40 of Quinn Half is in fact on the tail end of the lead lap. And I'm sure you recall the 25 of Sheldon Creed practically landed on top of the number 40 car. So I'd imagine Half would be relatively slow on this restart, but he's going to restart up in front of the leaders. So it might be a little bit worse than what the sight of Martin Truex Jr. restarting up in front of the leaders was when he was on 40-lap old tires. Well, now this 40 car is very severely damaged and is going to restart up in front of all the front runners. But that's going to make things even dicier among the championship contenders as we have the 53 of Chase Briscoe holding the points lead at the moment above the 00 of Daniel Suarez without a single car in between the two. Then we have the number 9 of Chase Elliott, who is pretty significantly damaged. In fact, they cut off the rear bumper cover off the number 9 car, but he is in fact still in the race. And at this point, kind of hoping that the 00 and 53 cars end up racing each other and maybe get up into some trouble, because that 9 car is going to be off the pace. But you know who really loves to see some cautions? The number 19 of Martin Truex Jr., because he's going to restart this race actually scored just 1 lap down instead of 2 laps down. So if they get a caution, perhaps maybe from the 40 of Quinn Half if he is slow enough on this restart, the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. will be back to just 1 lap down and then kind of closer to contention of getting back on the lead lap and maybe a chance of contesting for this championship. But you never give up, because as long as Martin Truex Jr. can stay in this race, picture this, it's theoretically possible that the 00, 53, and 9 cars could still wreck out of this race. I mean, last year's race at Atlanta saw quite a few incidents. This year's race has already seen some really big ones, like the most recent crash that included 2 flips, so it's definitely not out of the question for the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. to win this championship still, but they've got a lot of work to do, or potentially just a lot of luck. And so the full list of cars out of the race following that accident include the 95 of Harrison Burton, the 21 of Austin Cindric, the number 8 of Tyler Reddick, the 41 of Cole Custer after starting from the outside pole position, and the 25 of Sheldon Creed, who was having a phenomenal second career NASCAR Cup Series start. So quite a few cars out of the race following that accident, but the number 87 of Joe Nemechek, who is running what could be his final career NASCAR Cup Series start, is still in this race, as well as the 14 of Clint Boyer, who actually made it through that accident without any additional damage, but he was damaged in the first large crash of the day. The pace car ducks onto pit road. Lap cars of Truex and Half lead the field into the Geico restart zone on lap 125, and there is the green flag. 17 car of Chris Buescher gets boxed in by the lap car of Quinn Half. As the field roars down to turn number 1, Buescher jumps up to the outside and uses Half as a pick against the 48 of Alex Bowman. And that 40 car really is off the pace. Here comes the 11 of Hamlin down on the inside without any front bumper cover nor hood, as the 53 of Chase Briscoe once again gets boxed in by lap traffic, this time by the 40 of Quinn Half. And that 53 car is losing a tremendous amount of track position. Here comes the 9 of Elliott in a tight squeeze, almost 4 wide to the inside, retakes the second spot in points. 53 car is still stuck in line behind the 40, and the 00 holds a great championship lead at the moment. 17 of Buescher still out in front as they have passed the number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Truex back down to 2 laps behind the race leader of Chris Buescher. Could be the death blow for that team's chances at the championship as the 48 of Bowman takes back the race lead. 50 of Kaz Gralla trying to take his second career NASCAR Cup Series victory here this afternoon. He's got a good chance at it. And the pole sitter of Ryan Blaney trying to close out his very troublesome season with a win. And as you can tell, the lap traffic of Quinn Half has really separated out this field here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. 53 car about 5 or 6 seconds off of the race leader already, as the 00 of Daniel Suarez currently holds the 5th position, and 53 has dropped all the way down to 25th spot. The number 9 of Chase Elliott sets in 20th with a lot of damage on that race car. And right now, here comes the 50 of Kaz Gralla down to the inside of the number 48 of Alex Bowman. Side by side down the back straightaway, battling for that race lead here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. They run through turns 3 and 4, still side by side. The 48 of Bowman trying to hold that high line momentum as the championship leader takes over the 3rd position. Suarez into the 3rd spot. The 50 car leads the lap. Through turns 1 and 2, the 50 of Kaz Gralla takes over that race lead, finally clearing the 48 of Bowman, as Daniel Suarez gets put into the middle by the 17 of Chris Buescher. Down on the inside goes Buescher, and here comes the 4 of Kevin Harvick, going 4 wide to the inside of Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez, and Alex Bowman. He's got nothing to lose. He's not chasing after the championship and just trying to close out his season with one more victory, but that move almost put Daniel Suarez into the garage. But he backed out, and he still holds on to a great championship lead as the 17 of Chris Buescher goes down to the inside of the 50 of Kaz Gralla. He is going to take over the race lead down the back straightaway in the Roush Fenway Racing Ford. Roush Fenway has not scored a victory on the season, and they are looking to definitely close out their year with a win, as they've gone quite a while since one of their cars has graced victory lane. Number 4 of Kevin Harvick, though, trying to deny them of that chance. Down on the inside goes Harvick, going for the race leaders. Here comes Matt DiBenedetto, 3 wide on the bottom. DiBenedetto races side by side with Eric Jones and Kaz Gralla, trying to bust his way up into the top 5. Can't quite do it as he gets beat down the back straightaways. They were carrying highline momentum. Harvick is your race leader for the moment, but here comes Kyle Busch on the bottom. Busch is going to take over the top spot at the start-finish line. Down into turn number 1, Kyle Busch gets pushed into the race lead by the 17 of Chris Buescher. The 00 of Daniel Suarez starting to drop back just a little bit, got back down to the inside line where that car's been running more favorably. And now the 4 of Kevin Harvick gets pushed up to the outside, gets put 3 wide down the front straightaway by Alex Bowman. Trying to hang in there down on the bottom. Racing side by side with Matt DiBenedetto in his final points paying start in the Team Penske number 2 car. As Harvick backs out, DiBenedetto takes over 3rd, and Bowman sets in 4th. Martin Truex Jr. still racing with this lead pack, trying to get one of his laps back. The 3 of Austin Dillon works his way to the inside of his future teammate of Kevin Harvick, and now works his way back in line. Just barely tried to cut off the 1 car of Kurt Busch, couldn't quite do it. 69 of Greg Biffle has raced his way through this field, trying to crack the top 10 at the moment. Actually is now scored in the 9th position. Kyle Busch leads this field here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Above the 17 of Chris Buescher, the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto, the 48 of Alex Bowman, and the 50 of Kaz Gralla. It's also worth noting we have a few more cars that have dropped out of the race due to crash damage, including the 40, 42, 10, and 23 cars all out of the race in those last few laps after the restart, succumbing to their crash damage in that massive pileup just a few laps ago in turn number 3. Down on the inside goes the 48 of Alex Bowman, taking over the third spot, as the 17 of Chris Buescher is looking to the inside of Kyle Busch, going for that race lead down the back straightaway. They're going to try and do it side by side through turns 3 and 4. Chris Buescher on the inside, Kyle Busch up on the outside. Busch holding that good outside line momentum. To the stripe, it is Kyle Busch to lead the lap. Down to turn number 1. Kyle Busch still trying to pressure Chris Buescher, but neither of those two giving an inch. Still running side by side as Harvick made a little bit of contact with the lap car of Martin Truex Jr. farther back. Through turns 3 and 4, here comes the 17 down to the bottom. And Chris Buescher takes over the race lead as the 50 of Kaz Gralla lost the front end through turns 3 and 4. Kyle Busch assumes second position. Once again, looks up to the outside. Now back down to the bottom as here comes the 00, 3 wide to the inside. Taking the spot off of two Team Penske Fords, getting around Blaney and DiBenedetto, but Chris Buescher in the Roush Fenway Racing Ford leads this field. Look at this, the number 9 car of Chase Elliott is vastly off the pace. He is in fact 20 seconds behind the race leader of Chris Buescher. The only reason he is still making minimum speed is he is drafting with a fellow damaged race car, that being the 11 of Denny Hamlin. And Kyle Busch has retaken the race lead off of the 17 of Chris Buescher. Pulled a bit of a side job on him through turns 1 and 2. As we got a 3 wide move getting made by Daniel Suarez down on the bottom, still your championship leader. And look at who has raced his way up into this fight. The 53 of Chase Briscoe is back up into the lead group, and the championship battle is on between the two teammates of Suarez and Briscoe. If we do not get any cautions, everyone should be good to make it on fuel, so it looks like it could be a battle between just the 00 and 53 cars. Here comes the pole sitter, 3 wide to the inside, going for the race lead, but Chris Buescher makes it work through the middle. Buescher out in front of this field once again, trying to put Roush Fenway Racing back into victory lane. The 48 of Bowman goes 3 wide down to turn number 1. Bowman slides up, trying to kind of crowd that 12 car of Blaney. And Bowman's getting some help from the 69 car of Greg Biffle down the back stretch. On the inside goes Bowman, middle is Blaney, outside is Kyle Busch. Bowman sends it in down on the bottom. As look at Briscoe take the championship lead, going 4 wide through the middle. What a move by Briscoe, making that move stick. Takes up the 4th position in the RCA Chevrolet. Briscoe is your championship leader. With almost 20 laps to go here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, the 00 car appears to be falling off just a little bit, but that 53 has come on strong. Here comes the 48 of Alex Bowman to the inside, the 17 of Chris Buescher. And Bowman takes back the race lead here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. 53 of Briscoe, after a horrible restart, has already climbed his way up to 2nd. And so you can hear lap traffic up in front of these leaders as the 53 car tries to drive to the bottom of Alex Bowman for the race lead. But up in front of these leaders is Bowman's biggest rival, the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, and fellow championship contender as Briscoe takes over the race and championship lead off of the 4th corner. A little bit of contact right there between the 20 and 69 cars of Brandon Jones and Greg Biffle. But Briscoe leads this field with just 20 laps to go here in the season finale 500, the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race at Atlanta. There's the lap traffic down the back straightaway. Briscoe has to try and pass them as quickly as possible. Cuts down to the bottom of Hamlin. Quickly gets around. Hamlin gets a little bit crowded by the championship contender of Chase Elliott. He knew that was pretty much his last chance. And now Elliott is 1 lap down. Martin Truex Jr. is 2 laps down. It's pretty much a battle between the 53 and 00 cars if these two can keep it in the race. 12 car of Ryan Blaney lost the front end just a little bit on entry to turn number 1. Dropped off the back bumper of the 53 of Chase Briscoe. You can see down the back straightaway, Briscoe reeling in the lap car of Kyle Larson. Larson defends just a little bit, forces the 53 car low, but Briscoe easily laps the number 57 of Kyle Larson. Down the front straightaway, we got the Busch brothers battling at the moment. The 1 of Kurt Busch to the inside of Kyle. And he used the lap car of Kyle Larson to his advantage, and Kurt Busch takes over the 4th position in the Monster Energy Chevrolet. The 00 of Daniel Suarez has dropped outside the top 10 at the moment and is now getting boxed in by the number 9 of Chase Elliott. Lost the front end just a little bit through turns 3 and 4, losing even more time. as the 53 of Chase Briscoe leads this field here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Remember that just because Matt Crafton and Daniel Hemrick won the race to win the championship does not mean you have to certainly win this race to take home that title. In fact, all Briscoe has to do is outplay Suarez, Truex, and Elliott, which at the moment it looks like his only competition is Suarez unless he gets in trouble. So really, Chase Briscoe could let quite a few cars just by him. As long as he stays up in front of the 00 car, he pretty much has this championship. So he's got to play it smart and keep that car clean. Down on the inside, here comes the 48 of Bowman taking over that race lead off the 53 of Briscoe. The 12 of Ryan Blaney taking over second, now looking down to the inside off of turn number 2. Through turns 3 and 4, the number 12 of Ryan Blaney takes over the second spot. The 1 of Kurt Busch going for the third position. Kurt Busch trying to win 2 races in the final 3 weeks of the year. As the number 14 of Clint Boyer, even with his left and right side damage, has started to carve his way through this field, getting around the 17 of Chris Buescher. That's going to propel him up into the 8th position. And how about the number 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr., contending for a top 10 in his final points-paying start for JTG Daugherty Racing. And through turns 3 and 4, the 12 car of Ryan Blaney is going to take back the race lead off of the number 48 of Alex Bowman. The pole sitter back to the top spot as the 53 has dropped back to 5th position. Chase Briscoe still losing track position as he loses a spot to the 50 of Casgrella. Now the 4 of Harvick to his inside. The 14 of Boyer going to try and follow suit as the 00 of Suarez has started to charge his way back forward. We definitely still have a championship battle on our hands as we approach just 10 laps to go here in the season finale 500. And you've got to wonder what the number 19 team of Martin Truex Jr. and James Small are thinking about right now, because they pretty much gave up their chance at a championship due to a bad strategy call. Here comes Bowman back down to the inside of the 12 of Ryan Blaney. We got a great battle up in front of this field. These two swapping the lead pretty much every other lap, as Bowman is going to lead the field at the start-finish line. 53 of Chase Briscoe still losing track position as Bowman takes over the race lead through turns 1 and 2. The 1 of Kurt Busch is going to take over second. 12 car back into third. Down on the inside goes the 14 of Clint Boyer. He's going to make his way around the 50 of Kaz Gralla, going for the 5th position in his final start of his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career. Here comes Harvick, 3 wide on the bottom. He's performed numerous risky moves over the course of this season finale 500. Let's see if he tries to stick the nose in there into turn 1. He makes it stick down on the bottom, going 3 wide for the lead. There's a little bit of contact right there between the 48 and 12. Around goes Harvick into the 14 of Boyer. The 53 of Briscoe, the championship point leader, gets turned around down the back straightaway, keeps it off the wall, but the caution flag now waves as the 18 of Kyle Busch takes massive front-end damage. Well, that move did not go as planned, as racing back to the caution flag, the 48 of Bowman is your race leader above the 1 of Kurt Busch, the 50 of Kaz Gralla, the 12 of Blaney with right side damage, and the 14 of Boyer who's taken some front-end damage. But the highest runner in championship point standings is now the 00 of Daniel Suarez. How the tables have turned. Remember what I said in pre-race, keep your car clean. Well, so far, everyone but Truex has been involved in some type of accident, but the 19 team beat themselves. So really, at this point, if you're going to win this championship, it's who makes the least amount of mistakes, because every single one of them has made at least one type of mistake. I mean, that was some absolutely incredible, essentially Hail Mary-style moves that we saw out of Kevin Harvick all day long, but this one ended up bottling up the field so much to where the 12 of Ryan Blaney, the pole sitter, clipped the 48 of Alex Bowman, turning him down into the 4 of Kevin Harvick. And that spins the number 4 car around. It also sends the 48 car hard into the inside wall, but then Blaney hits the outside wall. Harvick spins up into his teammate Boyer. The 53 car gets clipped right there by the spinning number 4. The 24 car gets spun down to the apron. Right there, the 20 car of Brandon Jones hits into the 4 of Harvick. The 18 of Kyle Busch gets clipped by the 53 and slams right into the rear bumper of the 24 of William Byron. A lot of front-end damage on the 18 car. The 69 of Biffle makes contact with the 53, I believe, or actually got hit by the 3 of Austin Dillon. And look at the 00 of Daniel Suarez, just barely get checked up in time for this, but Fortunately for Suarez, he kept that race car perfectly clean, just letting cars by him back to the caution flag. Clips the 3 of Austin Dillon right there, but mainly keeps that car clean. The 53 of Briscoe, though, is astonishingly clean for surviving an accident like that. While everyone else around him got damage, 53 car seems like all it did was a kind of a lazy Susan slide down the back straightaway apron. Have yourself a look, though, at the 48 car of Bowman with his wild lap. Gets clipped, spins around the 4 of Harvick with his left side door, runs all the way through the back straightaway logos, remerges with the racetrack, and races the 1 car of Kurt Busch back to the start-finish line, and Bowman actually leads the field back to the caution with a remarkable lap, somehow keeping that car going in the right direction. And that back straightaway apron is incredibly dirty. I have no idea how he merged with the racetrack at that rate of speed and didn't lose traction at all. And so here's what this wreck looked like from the onboard of the then point leader of Chase Briscoe. Right in line behind the 14 of Clint Boyer. 12 clips the 48. And the field just flies apart. Gets onto the brakes very well and just spins around down the back straightaway. Does a double 360 and manages not to get hit by any of the oncoming traffic. That 53 car might still be in pretty decent condition. If you recall, last season, the 18 car of Kyle Busch won the championship on flat spotted tires, and Briscoe's quite the wheel man. He might be able to pull off the same incredible feat. We've got a large amount of upset drivers running in the top 10 because they avoided that accident, such as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. sets 6th, Corey LaJoie sets in 8th position. Definitely one of his best runs of the season. And by the way, Clint Boyer still sets 5th. He has quite a bit of front-end damage, actually, on his career tribute, number 14 Ford Mustang. However, they're going to leave him out on the racetrack and see what he's capable of doing, because if they pit now, they're going to sacrifice all that track position they've got. They're kind of just hoping the car is good enough to pull together a good finish, because remember, this is potentially the final restart of Clint Boyer's full-time NASCAR Cup Series career. They don't want to give up any more track position than they already might lose from having the damage. And they think that keeping this car on the racetrack is the Hail Mary they need to bring home at least a decent finish. Oh, by the way, Joe Nemechek is still out on the racetrack and, in fact, is on the lead lap. So he sets in 21st position in his very own number 87 machine. Has not ran very competitively, I guess you could say, has not made his way up towards the front. However, he's come pretty close to missing every single accident. Obviously got some damage in that first large accident down on the front straightaway, but since then he's kept the car relatively clean. So with just the exception of that rear-end damage that he got in that first incident, he has been involved in no crashes since, and that's better than quite a few drivers have done so far, and that has brought him all the way up to 21st position on track, with a good potential of increasing his finishing position here this afternoon in what could possibly be the final restart of the season. And the pace car hits pit road one more time. The 48 car of Alex Bowman leads the field into the Geico restart zone. And there's the green flag with just 6 laps to go here in the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Both the 00 and 53 cars are restarting out in the back, as the 48 of Bowman now getting hounded by the 50 of Kaz Gralla down on the bottom. Gralla looks like he's going to take over the race lead, as the 00 of Suarez has put a good separation above the 53 of Chase Briscoe down the back straightaway. Suarez has quite a few cars between him and the second place runner in points, as Kaz Gralla takes over the race lead off of the 4th corner. And remember, folks, we can go into one attempt at overtime if needed. How about this? The 7 of Corey LaJoie down on the bottom, going for a top 5 spot, in fact running in 5th position. What an upset here at Atlanta. He has a chance at winning this thing. Chris Buescher takes over second, looks down to the inside of Kaz Gralla. Down the back straightaway, these two battle for the race lead, as here comes the 7 of LaJoie to the bottom, going for the 3rd position. 00 of Suarez carving his way through this field, trying to get an advantage above the 53 of Briscoe. 17 backed off on the exit of turn number 4, actually lost a little bit of momentum with the low exit up the corner. Here comes the 2 of Matt DiBenedetto all the way down on the bottom, as the 53 of Chase Briscoe still hung up in lap traffic. Right now getting past the lap car of Kyle Larson, now racing with the 26 and 4 of Ankrum and Harvick. The 00, though, gets slowed up on the outside, up into the marbles, as well as the 37 of Eric Jones. Contact between Austin Dillon and Ryan Newman. And that happened right in front of the 53 of Chase Briscoe, as the 14 of Clint Boyer, with quite a bit of front-end damage, is starting to drop back just a little bit. Here comes the 53 down to the bottom. 3 wide move being made as Suarez gets put up to the outside 3 wide. And the battle is not over. We are approaching 2 laps to go here in the season finale 500. Briscoe almost makes a 4 wide move through turns 3 and 4. And now just 1 car separates Suarez from Briscoe, that being the 69 of Greg Biffle. Bit of a 3-car breakaway here in Atlanta with just 2 laps to go. The 50 of Kaz Gralla out in front. The 17 of Buscher running second. 48 of Bowman in third. Farther back, it's LaJoie and DiBenedetto. Regardless of who wins, it's looking to be an upset. Racing through turns 3 and 4, here comes the 2-car of DiBenedetto to the inside of the 7 of LaJoie. 3 wide move getting made by the 00. The white flag is out here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for Kaz Gralla. 3 cars under a blanket for the lead, and the 00 gets checked up on the front straightaway. Briscoe, 4 wide down to turn number 1, the last lap for the championship battle. The 00 and 53 cars now run nose to tail, battle between teammates for the championship, as Chris Buscher looks down to the inside but gets cut off entering turn number 3 by the 50. The 00 sails off into turn number 3. Clears the 53 of Chase Briscoe. Kaz Gralla is going to win the race, but Daniel Suarez will take home his first career NASCAR Cup Series Championship. Daniel Suarez is your new NASCAR Cup Series champion, as Kaz Gralla has driven to the race win. Suarez becomes NASCAR's first ever internationally born NASCAR Cup Series champion. The native of Monterrey, Mexico, the 2016 NASCAR Xfinity Series titleist, with 6 career NASCAR Cup Series victories, is now your new NASCAR Cup Series champion of the 2021 season. He joins Matt Crafton and Daniel Hemrick as the titleists of this championship weekend here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and what a battle between those two for the title. Between Briscoe and Suarez, Briscoe comes up just barely short, about 1/10 of a second behind his teammate Daniel Suarez for the championship. Those two put on a phenomenal battle, and both kept the race cars clean. They did not end up wrecking each other, coming back to the checkered flag. A both respectful and hard-fought battle for the championship here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway between the 53 and 00 cars, but how about Briscoe's 4-wide move there on the final lap, gunning after the 00 of Daniel Suarez, trying to get around him, but just came up short as they both sailed off hard into turn number 3. But the 00 car went just a little bit deeper, and the car stuck, carrying a good run off of the 4th corner. It's also worth mentioning that Clint Boyer ends his full-time NASCAR Cup Series career in the 15th position, and the number 14 for Stuart Haas Racing. That damage cost him a lot of time on that final restart. And Front Row Joe brings it home in the 18th position, surviving the carnage of this afternoon's season finale 500. And so first of all, let's take another look at this race win battle down the back straightaway between Kaz Gralla and the 17 of Chris Buscher. Buscher looked down to the inside, Gralla cut him off, and Kaz Gralla, the Rookie of the Year Award winner of the 2021 season, rolls that highline momentum and cruises to his 2nd career NASCAR Cup Series victory, the winner at Kansas earlier this season, and puts the RCR number 50 car back into victory lane here in the final race of the year at Atlanta. And this final lap and a half for the championship battle is definitely going to be one to remember. As you can tell, coming off of the 4th corner, the 00 of Daniel Suarez is being put 3 wide right here. Actually made the move to go 3 wide, but kind of backed out of it, coming in to the first dogleg right there in the tri-oval. Loses a lot of momentum down the front straightaway, and that allows the 53 of Briscoe to stick his nose in between the 47 and 1 cars of Stenhouse and Kurt Busch. The lap car of Martin Truex Jr. almost gets put up into the outside wall. Briscoe makes a 4-wide move in turn number 1 and gets a straight shot on the 00 of Daniel Suarez. These two running nose to tail for the championship as the 53 looks up to the outside, 00 holding the bottom. Kind of running a defensive line as they get side by side into turn 3. The 00 sails it off into the corner, slides up in front of the 53 car, pulls off a slide job, loses momentum on exit as the 53 almost hit up into the outside wall, but it was just barely enough. Suarez takes home his first career NASCAR Cup Series Championship here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Briscoe, with that valiant effort, comes up just a car length short of his first career NASCAR Cup Series title. But he absolutely gave it his all on that final lap with that incredible four-wide move, almost slapped the outside wall off turn 4, and just one position away from the championship. But this is only his second full-time season of NASCAR Cup Series competition. He'll get plenty more opportunities just like this one if he's already this close to becoming a champion. Then we have the number 9 team of Chase Elliott, who finished all the way down in the 23rd position, as Elliott got quite a bit of damage in that large crash down the back straightaway that ended up leaving both the 25 and 41 cars of Sheldon Creed and Cole Custer flipping. Elliott got front and rear damage out of that, and it just knocked all the speed out of that race car. Ended up finishing one lap down in the 23rd position with close to no chance at the championship. All 4 of the Championship 4 contenders had to fight through some form of adversity. Daniel Suarez got involved in a crash, got very minimal amount of damage. Chase Briscoe spun from the point lead and almost recovered from it completely, came up just one car length short of the championship. Chase Elliott obviously got involved in the crash down the back straightaway that Suarez got some damage from, got even worse damaged, in fact pretty much knocked out of championship contention. But strangely enough, the worst mistake was one that was self-inflicted. The number 19 team of Martin Truex Jr. stayed out under the caution flag period at the end of stage number 2, hoping to pull off some form of abstract strategy to score the victory and the championship, and ended up biting them massively when a caution flag came out in the middle of stage number 2, trapping them 2 laps behind the race leader. They never made that margin back up. Martin Truex Jr., who quite frankly had the best car of the Championship 4 contenders, ended up finishing in 25th position, 2 laps down. An unfortunate end to what appeared to be Martin Truex Jr.'s best chance in years at his second career Cup Series title, coming on so strong in the last few months. Clint Boyer in the number 14 fell all the way down to 15th position because of that damage that he received in that late race crash. However, he remained with the lead pack and actually brought home a 15th place finish. While not the type of performance that he wanted, it's still a very respectable day for Clint Boyer, and even knowing that he will finish this season listed as 17th in points, if we did not have a playoff format, he actually scored the 7th most points of any given driver. So while he did not score a victory and that kind of messed up his chances at a championship run, this has still been a phenomenal season for the number 14 team of Clint Boyer. Like I've mentioned numerous times, very similar to Rusty Wallace, consistent all year long, but just couldn't quite bust their way into victory lane. And I'd say the biggest surprise is the number 87 of Joe Nemechek. He actually brought home an 18th place finish on the lead lap, staying with the lead draft, and passed quite a few cars on that final restart because of their damages that they had incurred about 10 laps prior in that large crash down the back straightaway. The 87 team fought through adversity all afternoon long after a 31st place starting position and a car that was not really capable of top 20 speed, but they brought it all together, avoided the majority of the wrecks, and finished in the 18th position. And so Kaz Grella has scored his second career NASCAR Cup Series victory here this afternoon in the season finale 500, closing out the year in the NASCAR Cup Series at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Grella, the Rookie of the Year award winner, and the only winner this season for Richard Childress Racing, led only 9 laps on the afternoon from a 14th place starting position, but led the lap that counted and took home the victory above Chris Buescher, who also had a very good showing. And because we had so many cars get in trouble, this whole top 10 is composed of mainly upsets. We got Alex Bowman, who only won 1 race this season at Richmond, started 4th position and finished in the 3rd spot, tying Kyle Busch for most laps led at 38 laps. Matt DiBenedetto, the Brickyard 400 winner in his final start for Team Penske, finished in the 4th position. Ryan Blaney, another fellow Penske contender, the pole sitter as well, finished in the 5th spot, passing Corey LaJoie on the last lap, who very impressively scored a 6th place finish here this afternoon from a 32nd place starting position. Then how about this? Daniel Suarez with a 7th place finish has become the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Did not lead a single lap on the afternoon because you know what? He didn't have to. He just contended with the drivers that he needed to race, those being Briscoe, Elliott, and Truex, and bested all of them, scoring the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series championship. And Briscoe comes up just 1 car length short of the NASCAR Cup Series title. With 5 laps led on the afternoon, started 7th and finished in 8th, which any other weekend would be heralded as a great finish, but he did not outplace his competition in the championship. Daniel Suarez bests him by about 12/100ths of a second, taking that championship away. But the Starcom Speed Station teammates of Daniel Suarez and Chase Briscoe impressively take a top 2 position in the point standings, coming in as the upset contenders for this title. Martin Truex Jr. obviously the favorite, and most likely should have won this championship if it wasn't for beating themselves because of the pit strategy. And Chase Elliott also had a great car in that final stage, but ended up getting in trouble down the back straightaway in a crash that Daniel Suarez narrowly avoided being a bigger part of. Kurt Busch looked like he had a chance at taking his second victory in 3 weeks, as he won just a couple weeks back at the Homestead Miami Speedway. However, brought home a 9th place finish after kind of getting shuffled out there on the final restart. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in his final start for JTG Daugherty Racing pulls off an impressive 10th place finish here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, a great way to leave this team. As we've mentioned before, it is likely that he will not be contesting the full NASCAR Cup Series schedule next season, but appears to be a top candidate for a partial schedule in the Trackhouse Racing number 99. Mr. Consistency of the last few seasons, Kevin Harvick, was not a contender for the championship this afternoon. However, he pulled off an 11th place finish, once again another consistent finish for the number 4 team. This was the final points-paying start for Stewart-Haas Racing, as Gene Haas and Tony Stewart split off to form their own organizations in the NASCAR Cup Series, and Harvick is their highest finisher in 11th position. Ryan Newman in the number 6 for Roush Fenway Racing brought it home in 12th position with a good finish there, putting both Roush Fenway Fords in the top 15. Austin Dillon with a 39th place starting position actually brought it home in the 13th spot. A very impressive run there and charged through the field, as he actually led for about half a lap in today's race as well. Tyler Ankrum brought it home in the 14th position, next season moving on to the number 24 machine at Hendrick Motorsports. Clint Boyer in his final start of his storied full-time NASCAR Cup Series career, the 2019 NASCAR Cup Series champion and 2008 NASCAR Xfinity Series titleist, wraps up his full-time career in the 15th place. I'd say the highlight, though, was qualifying in 3rd position and leading the opening lap in front of an absolutely astonished crowd. The number 69 car of Greg Biffle started in 16th and actually finished in 16th, but he had quite the run in today's event. In fact, climbed his way up into the top 5. His short pit looked like it would work out a little bit better than it actually ended up working out, as you would expect him to kind of cycle out to the race lead because he pitted before the caution came out, but on the same lap, was allowed to pass the pace car. But by the time he got around the racetrack, a bunch of cars had already completed their service on pit road, so it turned out that he actually didn't get as much track position as he would have expected. He would have anticipated him to cycle to the lead. He actually cycled out to about 15th place. Eric Jones, the North Wilkesboro race winner, after leading 2 laps here this afternoon, brought it home in 17th position. Number 87 of Joe Nemechek, in what could be his final career NASCAR Cup Series start, brought it home a very respectable 18th place. Ross Chastain, after having a good afternoon, got up in trouble late in the going, led 24 laps on today's event, started in 11th, but finished down in the 19th spot. Brad Keselowski started 23rd, climbed his way all the way up to 2nd, and ended up getting involved in trouble and finishing down in the 20th position. Chase Elliott, the championship contender, had a rough going, got involved in trouble, fell 1 lap down due to a lack of pace after the crash damage, and dropped all the way to 23rd place in the official race standings here at Atlanta. Then probably the biggest disappointment, the number 19 team of Martin Truex Jr. Won stage number 1, had what appeared to be a dominant race car, but got caught out by the pit strategy and practically beat themselves. They ended up finishing in 25th position, 2 laps behind the race leader with 10 laps led on the race. And by the way, here's some statistics on this race. We had 55 lead changes this afternoon among 13 different drivers, and who's to say how many lead changes we had during the laps? That's just recorded at the start-finish line that we had 55 lead changes. Imagine if we would have counted every single time the lead changed hands. That number might have even doubled. And here is the final point standings of the full top 40 in the NASCAR Cup Series. Daniel Suarez wins the championship by 1 point and 1 car length on the racetrack above his teammate Chase Briscoe. Those two taking an upset top 2 finish in the point standings after a very hard-fought afternoon here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. All 4 of the championship 4 contenders made mistakes. It just turned out that Martin Truex Jr.'s was the most costly. Chase Elliott ended up finishing 3rd in points, 16 points behind the champion of Daniel Suarez, and Martin Truex Jr. ended up finishing 4th in points, 18 points behind Daniel Suarez, but this is his best finish in points since 2018, so that's still something to somewhat celebrate, but you have to wonder what could have been if they would have played the right strategy call, because they absolutely had the fastest car. And by the way, because Daniel Suarez did not lead a lap and Martin Truex Jr. led 10 laps, Truex has surpassed Daniel Suarez for most laps led on the season by 2 laps. It's 380 to 378, so Martin Truex Jr. is at least this season's lap-led champion. The Best of the Rest award was won by Brandon Jones, bringing home a 5th place finish in the point standings, tying actually Denny Hamlin, his teammate, but Brandon Jones gets the tiebreaker with 2 wins on the season. Kyle Busch, a fellow Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry, finished 7th in points, so from 4th all the way down to 7th is all 4 JGR Toyotas. Alex Bowman, with a good finish, picked up 3 spots in points in the final race of the season, all the way up to 8th, after finishing 5th in points last season. Kevin Harvick brought it home 9th in the point standings, actually his worst finish in points in quite a few seasons. However, it's still a very respectable points run with 1 win on the year. I still believe that that is a successful season. Kyle Larson lost 2 spots in the point standings after having a tough outing here today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, ended up losing a lap and dropping down to 10th in points, although Kaz Gralla, with his 2nd win on the season, picked up 2 spots in the point standings all the way up to 11th in points. A good run in the point standings for that RCR team. Joey Logano, the regular season champion, still has not won a race since March of 2020, dropped down to 12th in the point standings. Michael McDowell also fell down to 13th in overall points. However, that is still a very good points position, outplacing both the Team Penske and Chip Ganassi racing cars. Matt DiBenedetto finished 14th in overall points, and Justin Allgaier finished in 15th position. Josh Blicky, the Daytona 500 winner, did not make the field for today's race and ended up 16th in points with 9 races missed on the season. However, their race car that they won the Daytona 500 with is still setting in Daytona, USA. So even though outside of Road America, where they finished 2nd, they struggled for the majority of the season, they still have a Daytona 500 trophy that no one can take away from them. Clinton Boyer, after having a winless yet successful retirement season from NASCAR Cup Series full-time competition, Boyer brings it home 17th in points with no wins, 8 top 5s, 14 top 10s, no poles, and 241 laps led. He had numerous opportunities to win races this season, however, it just never really all came together for him. But if we did not have playoffs, he would have actually finished 7th in points. So he had an incredibly consistent season, just not a very winning one. But still a very great season for Clint Boyer to close his NASCAR Cup Series career on. Eric Jones, the North Wilkesboro race winner, brings it home 18th in final season point standings. A very great run for that JTG Daugherty Racing Chevrolet. Tyler Reddick puts a 2nd RCR car in the top 20 in points, clawing his way all the way up to 19th in final season point standings. And Ryan Newman places a Roush Fenway Racing Ford in the top 20, getting 20th in final season point standings with 5 top 5s and 9 top 10s, a lot of those coming in the final 10 races of the year. Farther back, we have the Homestead Miami race winner of Kurt Busch setting 21st in point standings with only 32 laps led on the season. Did not have a very good year, but still pulled off that victory in impressive fashion at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Another driver who did not have a very impressive year, or at least a very inconsistent one, was the 88 team of Brad Keselowski. They did win a race in the playoffs after the playoffs had already began, so they did not make the top 16, but they won an incredible battle at the Southern 500 that ended up being pivotal for Kyle Larson's chances at the championship, but Keselowski scores that Southern 500 victory, 4 top 5s on the year, 9 top 10s, 1 pole, and only 71 laps led. Now, Ross Chastain finished 23rd in points, but had a remarkably inconsistent season. Look at his laps led, 260 laps led, but only 5 top 5s, 6 top 10s, but he even got 2 poles. He's been incredibly fast, but just has a hard time putting together an entire race. The 21 of Austin Cindric, in his first full-time season in NASCAR Cup Series competition, ended up finishing 24th in overall points with 2 top 5 finishes and 9 top 10s and 77 laps led on the year. The 26 of Tyler Ankrum, who is moving to the number 24 machine in Hendrick Motorsports next season, ended up finishing 25th in points, by the way, compared to Byron's 33rd in points in what is logically better equipment. Ankrum only got 1 top 5, 9 top 10s, though, and 1 pole. Jan Magnussen actually clawed his way all the way up to 26th in point standings, his best career finish in points, got 1 victory at Palm Beach International Raceway, 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s, and 2 poles on the year. Quinn Half in the number 40 car for Chip Ganassi Racing had a bit less of a stellar season than what was anticipated out of his first year at CGR, did not score top 5. But did score 7 top 10s and a pole. So had a very decent season, actually outplaced Ryan Blaney in points, and he was a very strong contender last year. but Half just did not quite have the speed that they were anticipating for this season. But then again, neither did the rest of Chip Ganassi Racing. They kind of struggled all season long, but fortunately, at least Kurt Busch and Justin Allgaier put together victories. Like I mentioned, Ryan Blaney struggled kind of all season long, ended up placing 28th in final season points standings, 2 top 5 finishes, 5 top 10s, 2 poles, and 118 laps led. Today looked like a good opportunity to finally break into that win column, but just wasn't quite good enough. Chris Buescher actually picked up 3 spots in point standings following today's event here in Atlanta, moves his way up into the top 30, brings it home 29th in final season point standings in the number 17 for Roush Fenway Racing. Number 95 of Harrison Burton also finishes top 30, driving that Levine Family Racing entry. They won one of the doubleheader races at Pocono, got 3 top 5s and 6 top 10s. Austin Dillon struggled a lot this season. It's very surprising considering he had a very, very strong run at the first 10 races of the year. Was looking like a top 10 contender in points, but then the wheel kind of fell off the wagon. They only led 12 laps on the year, 1 pole, 4 top 10s, and 1 top 5 finish. Austin Dillon seemed to have picked a good time to leave RCR, as he'll be moving on to the number 14 machine next season. Christopher Bell, who won the race back at Road America, missed 6 races on the year, including today's championship race, but got 1 win, 1 top 5, which was his win, 4 top 10s, and 2 poles. The number 24 of William Byron struggled pretty much all season long, but like I mentioned, finally did break through at Michigan to score that victory. Got 1 win on the year, 5 top 5s, 7 top 10s, and 187 laps led. Number 47, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. brought together a top 10 finish here this afternoon at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Picks up 3 spots in point standings all the way up to 34th position. Ended up missing 8 races, but did get 1 top 5 and 5 top 10s on the year. Bubba Wallace, after missing 6 races this season in their first year together at 2311 Racing, kind of a building year. They're kind of focusing more on next season. The highlight of the year was the pole at Talladega, but he also got 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s as well. Landon Castle in the number 89 for Shepherd Racing Ventures. They did not attempt every single race, but they did make 27 of them. He ends up finishing 36th in point standings, 2 top 5s, and 6 top 10s, which is what has led him to a ride in the number 33 car for next season. Mike Snyder in the number 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports. It seemed like when that team really hit on a setup, they were great. But all the other time, they struggled massively. That's why they set all the way down 37th in points, because look at their statistics here. They have 3 top 5s, but only 4 top 10s. So that means the majority of the time, they were either running top 5 or somewhere around 30th, or didn't even make the race in general because they missed 3 races. So that team really needs to work on their consistency, but when they have speed, they've got a lot of it, just like what they proved at Darlington, once again the Southern 500, a race that Snyder has won before. Eric Almirola ends his final season with Stewart Haas Racing down in 38th in the point standings, no top 5s, 2 top 10s, and only 11 laps led on the year. Ryan Preece in his partial schedule for Trackhouse Racing ends up placing 39th in point standings with 1 top 5, 4 top 10s, 1 pole, and 33 laps led. And finally, Cole Custer rounds out your top 40. After missing 7 races in the number 41 for Stewart Haas Racing, he ends up closing out the season with 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, no poles, and no laps led. And so, folks, that does it for our telecast of the season finale 500 here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We hope that you have enjoyed it. This has been absolutely one of the most phenomenal seasons in NASCAR Cup Series history. We once again tied the record of NASCAR Cup Series winners in one season. We had 24 different winners on the tour this year out of 36 races. And the top 39 finishers in points led at least 1 lap. So we had a very diverse group of front runners in the 2021 season, and it essentially lived up to its advertised slogan of being the best season ever. We get a brand new champion, that of Daniel Suarez, the first internationally born champion of the NASCAR Cup Series, and 3 youngsters on top of the point standings, those being Suarez, Briscoe, and Chase Elliott. And let's not forget that next season we have an awful lot to look forward to, including the next-gen car finally coming into full-time NASCAR Cup Series competition. It's been developed for the last 3 years, and hopefully it will fix a lot of the problems that we see with this Generation 6 car, like what we saw this afternoon with cars losing the front end in heavy traffic. The next-gen car aims to fix a lot of those issues, and it might open up the racing to be even more competitive from what it already was this year. But folks, all the action of this 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season came down to just the final 163 laps of the year, and the battle among the Championship 4 here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, which ended up seeing Daniel Suarez take home that championship by just one car length above his teammate Chase Briscoe in a phenomenal battle, including a 4-wide move on the final lap. But also we had the Rookie of the Year award winner Kaz Gralla take home the victory, once again showing off that youth movement, as the entire top 8 finishers of today's event have ran less than 10 NASCAR Cup Series seasons. So the youth movement is absolutely becoming a driving force in NASCAR's Cup Series. And we had 55 different lead changes over the course of these 163 laps, large crashes that ended up eliminating certain championship contenders, mistakes all throughout. All 4 championship contenders made mistakes or were forced into a mistake, like what happened with Chase Elliott getting involved in a crash that was not his doing. It became survival of the fittest, and Daniel Suarez walked out on top. And so the champion has been decided and the points-paying season has wrapped up. However, we still have one more race left in the NASCAR Cup Series this year, that being the Texas World Shootout. This race for stage winners, the exhibition event of just 50 laps at the Texas World Speedway, the big 2-miler in College Station. It's going to be an all-out battle in that exhibition race. It's the final race of the Generation 6 car, so it really doesn't matter if you wreck it because you don't have to rebuild it. And last year when they held the inaugural Texas World Shootout, it was a phenomenal race. This season getting extended 10 additional laps should provide 10 more laps of excitement at one of America's finest super speedways. So don't forget to tune in right here on Speed Station next time out at Texas World Speedway for the Texas World Shootout, the final race of the Generation 6 car, and the final build race of the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series season. But that's still not the last race of our season, because the Camping World Truck Series 1 week after that will be taking to the track in the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for their inaugural Pennzoil All-Star Race, a race for race winners, stage winners, and pole winners. And so once again, folks, we really appreciate all the support that you've given us over the course of this 2021 season. We hope that you've enjoyed our season of coverage. And so now we congratulate Kaz Gralla and RCR on scoring the race victory, and Daniel Suarez and company on scoring their first NASCAR Cup Series Championship.